Welcome to another edition of Drawing Nature In. Today we are discussing the difference between discovery and belief. To discover something or to just believe something. So it'd be interesting topics that come about with that subject. See, Joanna has some food there. It's making me hungry.
Sorry.
That's all right. You're allowed to eat. After all, we'll need to do that.
So would we like to start meditating?
Sure.
Okay, so just sit with your feet flat on the floor and just breathe in and out. Notice your breathing. And maybe put your hand on your heart to connect the mind to the brain, heart. Now just say, breathe in 6 counts and out 7 counts for a while. Try to get present. So I'm just going to ask the Creator to inspire us in this session of Drawing Nature In with great intuitive thoughts for the artwork and for our discussion and for continued intuitive thoughts throughout the week afterward to help us to be of maximum service to others during this difficult time. So it is.
And so we begin.
Okay, so someone is trying to contact me on Discord.
So yeah, it looks like Chris and Leah are in here.
Oh, they are?
Cool. They can unmute if they want to.
Hi.
Fun stuff.
How are you?
Hello. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Wow,
Chris.
how
Hey, Leah.
exciting.
Nice to have you guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Wow.
Today's subject is discovery versus belief. So that's what we're talking about today. And we'll be doing some artwork here. I was just have this painting I was working on the last 2 weeks here. This is the truth versus perception piece I've been working on. It's pretty much done. So I think I'm going to start on like a discovery versus belief painting, or see if I can figure out how to do that. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, I'm going to add a couple finishing touches to this before I start the next one. I'm just putting some suggestions of some little figures, very small, that are going to be walking like on the path, different paths here. So
So
kinda
yeah,
see,
I'm,
like,
I'm
a little
Oh.
suggestion of something there.
This sigil that I made is about unlimited contract, the inalienable right to unlimited contract. And I might work on that one today, or I might work on this one, which is about, which one is this one? Go look at it. Oh yeah, keeping the fruits of one's labor. This sigil right here. So we're Woody and I are both working on pieces for the Truth Show in Pueblo in July right now.
Joanne, you got a little thing going on.
I have what?
Oh, maybe that's Mike. I got echo.
Who is that? Me? That's echoing. Why?
I don't hear any echoing.
It's either you or Woody.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh Woody, maybe it's because you're you've got two open.
Yeah, that should be okay. We just might be because of this other thing here.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
There you go.
Oh, how's it now? Oh, it's me. It's me. Oh, shit. Here, let me
Is
check
that
it out.
better? It might have been because I have this other feed coming in. I don't know.
How's that? No, it's still.
That sounds, there's less background noise now.
Oh yeah. But I'm still
Yeah.
echoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's barely picking up the mic on your headphone. And on your computer.
Huh. What can I do about that?
Make sure that your sound is going into your headphone. It's I think it's not your mic. I think it's where your speaker is coming out of your computer and your earphones.
The sound setting on the Zoom and sound setting on your computer are two different things. This is like my constant stroke working through
It's
the
weird.
sound.
Yeah, this hasn't happened before, but you know, Murphy's Law, you know how it goes.
I like what you're doing. Really looking forward to seeing the little people. I like that.
Yeah, they might not come across very well, just because it's so small and I don't really have big enough or small
How
enough
about now?
brushes to paint that kind of detail, but I'm just kind of making some little suggestions here. It's going to be, we kind of already have some, they're pretty faint. I'll zoom in on one. Can kind of see it's just like a black dot for a head and a little bit of light tan to suggest that there's a body there. But that's just kind of, these guys are just like a little bit of an afterthought that I figured I'd add in, but
I'm just gonna say something. There's no echo now?
You fixed it.
It's
Woo.
very, very mild. It's there, but it'll be all right.
The heck? I don't know. It's no different than ever. I could just quit and come back in.
I don't think that's it. Wait, I think you
Even though sometimes that does fix things. It's weird.
did it.
I did it?
No, still there.
I can still
Yeah.
hear it.
Barely.
I'm gonna leave and come back and see if that helps. Bye.
We'll miss you.
give her a try. Can't hurt.
If all else fails, turn it off. Oh, it's still happening. Here.
Still happening without her. This must be someone else's echoing.
I'm gonna try to mute it.
I'm on mute.
Hello. I don't
Check
hear
1, 2.
any echoes on
It's
my
you,
end.
buddy. It's you.
It's me? That's weird.
Are you playing it on YouTube
No,
or a stream where you're streaming it to?
I'm streaming to YouTube, but I'm not, I don't have that opened
Hmm.
and that's muted. Let's see here, I've got that muted. Let's see if I'm muted over here. Zoom.
All right, check 1, 2. Yeah, it's not me because I just put an earbud on.
Yeah, I have earbuds in, so I shouldn't have.
It's not when you talk. When you talk, there's no echo, but when we talk, we hear an echo.
Interesting. Well, yeah, because I'm on here twice, but one of my it's muted and the volume's cut off, so I shouldn't be echoing.
Hello?
Joanna, it was happening when you weren't here. And you muted.
Here I am. It was happening when I wasn't there. Weird. Is it bad? It's gone now though, right?
No.
No. Well, I don't hear it now on my headset. There's something going on in the universe right now. There's all kinds of
I
weird
hear
technical.
something else in the background. I don't know what it is. Sounds like music or something.
Oh, I've got music playing. I can turn that off.
No, you don't have to.
That's
Whatever
what I'm
makes you
hearing.
comfy.
I'm not hearing any echoes. All I heard was some music, which is which is fine.
Oh, so what am I doing here?
Now, if I could just remember where my pencils are.
So,
Great eraser.
yay, Leah, I'm so excited that you're going to do this. After seeing your work, what do you die if you saw her work? The secret
I'm sure I
of
will.
the real Leah. Great artist.
Well, I got this picture that I'm going to work on of this horse I started a long time ago.
Yeah, feel
And
free to.
it's-
Yeah, okay,
this
great. Yeah,
is the horse that I drew.
spotlighted.
Wow.
And I'm going to like work on this picture more.
Awesome.
It's been unfinished.
Nice.
I'm just going to have to
I'm
use
so
this
excited
mechanical
that you
pencil
decided to
until
show up.
I know, I can't even move. I'm drawing right now. It's crazy.
Yay! I feel great about that.
I need supplies though.
Chris, what are you up to?
I got Crayola
Oh, Crayola markers.
markers.
Cool.
and a clipboard with paper.
Awesome. Great. Have fun.
I'm gonna try to make a symbol thing.
Cool.
Okay. A symbol thing.
Nice. Yeah. If you figure, if you can point your camera at your artwork while you're doing it, you can. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. Or if you,
Yeah,
can't, if you don't have the
see.
capability to do that, that's fine.
See if I can figure out a
You
way.
can just show us every once in a while, but let me know when you do ahead of time so I can spotlight you for everyone to see.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll just show you from time to time.
Yeah, that sounds good. Same with you, Leah. That'd be great. We'd love to see your progress as you're working.
All right, I'm gonna go look for my pencils. I think I need them. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. So how are we going to discuss this topic? This is a weird topic.
Oh yeah,
discovery versus belief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. All right. It's
Go ahead, Chris.
what you were talking about that interested me and Leah to come, was how when you do art, you get like downloads.
yeah, that's true. You will, and we probably will once we get the conversation rolling more and stuff. But I mean, to begin with, I mean, we just have to like really dissect those terms. It's like discovery is, to me is, when you ask questions, you find answers, and then that's discovery, part of the discovery process. If you have a problem that you need to solve, or you're trying to find a truth, and you're going to have to go do that research, and to do that research you're going to have to ask some questions and find some answers, versus the opposite, or I don't know if about opposite, but if with belief, if you're talking about belief, then you're not really asking that questions, you're just believing the content that before even questioning it, you're just blindly believing it. Maybe could just be a blind belief, and that could waste your time possibly if you're believing something that's untrue. So it could also cause harm to others, or yourself. If you're believing, that fire is cold or something like that, and you put your hand in it, probably going to get burned.
Believing that you could rule over other human beings.
Oh yes, that is a belief, right?
Yeah.
Funny, I can even see that just down the personal scale, because I was just hanging out with this friend of mine earlier who was basically telling her kids and her partner what to do. And I said to her, "Why are you doing that?" And she said, "Well, because they should know that this is bad what they're doing." And I said, "Live and let live." But this is part of just regular conversation in the world, is people telling other people what to do constantly. Which is what difference is that from ruling over others, or attempting to rule over others?
Actually following it up by sending gangsters to go make sure you do it.
Well, I can see that. I see that point, except that if you're like a parent or something like that, and you're constantly telling your kids what to do, even when they're adults, that kind of um, is an act of violence, because you're blocking any opportunity to actually be a mentor.
Yeah, but it's not like direct. A person still has a choice to not listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I guess
The other thing is too, like, if you're too bossy and you don't let, like, as a parent, I know this is like, you have to let kids just do stuff and mess up and do it and mess up. Because if you're like, oh no, you have to do that, or let me do this for you, they'll never learn how to put on their own shoes, because you keep doing it for them. Or, sometimes just telling them something, they may not even, depending on the age of the kid, they may not even understand what you're telling them fully, to where they could, repeat it.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Chris. I definitely do. I guess the thing for me with regards to natural law is I try to look at it on the microcosm. because I feel like that's all I have any control over is the macrocosm. So I have to look at that and then try to not live like that. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about the cops, right? In the military.
Well, I mean, that's the most obvious one. But I think you said what makes the difference. And to me, that's what makes the difference. It's one thing to tell somebody over and over, and that can be irritating, frustrating. And if you're a parent and someone's trapped listening to you like a little kid, that can be kind of harmful behavior. But what's really drawing the line is making somebody do something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that forcing someone into doing something, which sometimes with the kids, it's like, it's hard to, sometimes you kind of have to force them to get their shoes on when they're like a really little kid.
Or they're about to go in the road,
Yeah, yeah,
grab them by the arm and pull them out.
exactly. You have to force them back into the right path, back onto the sidewalk.
You don't have to, you sure do as a parent though. But
Yeah.
as someone's friend, it's like it gets a little foggy sometimes. Like someone's doing self-abusive behavior or something. When do you step in? How much should you step in?
For
Oh,
sure.
I don't know. I don't know if you can really step in. That's, to me, that's their choice. That's either, even if they're not a choice, with regards to that, it's really not usually an outside person's decision about whether they can stop. That's something they have to decide
Yeah, I think
internally
it's
and then seek help.
self-abusing behavior. Yeah,
Can't really do much about that.
that is an internal battle, but I mean, I guess there's things that you could do maybe that would be inspiring to that person that would maybe want them to hurt themselves less or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's a psychological where you'd have to really get into
When my dad was
fixing
having
that internal problem.
like mental problems, I stole one of his cars from him, and I was worried he was gonna crash it or hurt somebody or hurt himself. And so
Right.
it's weird, like it's not right to steal a car, but in that case, it felt like the right thing to do.
So what ended up happening?
Yeah, that makes sense.
His situation got worse and worse, and he wasn't able to take care of the cars, and I had to figure out what to do. One of them got impounded by the cops. That sucked.
Yeah, that's not good.
I think
That's just
these are
from-
all nuanced conversations. For you had to become somewhat of a guardian of your dad because of his mental condition. I wouldn't call that theft at that point because you took the impetus to be the guardian and he needed you. So I don't.
That's a good point.
That was a violation against him.
I guess
People want to hurt themselves. That's it.
no, I was just saying, I guess the point I was making is that it can be a little tricky sometimes when it gets into situations with nuances like that.
Yeah, it's like, and then if you're looking at it from a third party perspective, then there can be biases too, and that can cause problems as well, or even just like the perspective is different. If you're one of the parties experiencing the thing, or the conflict, the third party has a third perspective on it, and they may have came in later or or whatever, and so they're not getting the full context of the situation too in certain respects. But yeah, kind of a lot of the stuff depends on the context which it's in.
Well, I would say that's true for a subjective viewpoint of the situation, but the foundational principles don't change.
True, this is true.
And people like to call these gray areas, like, for example, if a house is burning and you trespass to save somebody in the house, were you trespassing? And, the way that I was taught was don't try to peel up the corners of a principle. And, there's
Right,
really
yeah.
not necessarily gray areas in that sense.
Well, that's a great analogy. Don't try to peel up the corners of a principle. I love it.
Yeah, Mark taught me that.
Yeah, it's true.
We had a lot of these discussions. And for people who hurt themselves, that's another nuanced conversation that people have in regards to the natural law. Do they have the right? Well, they own their own body. They have the right to do that. Is that bringing them closer to unity consciousness? Maybe not necessarily. But that's their right, based upon the principles. And again, you can't peel that up.
Right. So therefore it becomes your problem or my problem if I want that person to stop harming themselves and I'm going, putting my life in jeopardy to make sure that they don't harm themselves, then that's my problem because I'm not respecting their right, whatever their path is, to have choice about what they do. I mean, I know this guy who I've known a long time. He's got a lot of mental illness, and he's like triple jabbed now, and he's got the um he's been smoking cigarettes for since he was 12. He's 70 now. And I don't even try to, I didn't say anything to him about any of it. I just said to myself, look, just be grateful that he's living inside now because he used to live outside. So it's none of my business. I just try to be nice to him, be his friend, but not tell him what to do because I don't know. I haven't walked a mile in his shoes.
Yeah, no, well, too, like if we're talking about self harm and stuff like that, it's like there's deeper things, emotional things there that people might be going through that is causing that, or it could even be just like a belief, that's some sort of belief trap that's caused them to be self-loathing. And if you can get that person to realize that, maybe they would understand, oh no, this is what the trauma that's I experienced. They uncovered this trauma that I experienced, and this is what's assessed with me wanting to do self-harm, I guess.
An addiction, for example. Okay,
addiction for sure.
At what point is it you no longer have self-agency and somebody has to intervene? You could say that comes at a certain point during that, but people still have self-ownership at that point, even though they're harming themselves. So
I mean, at a certain level, you just kind of have to let them do it.
Yeah,
I think so.
You become the violator.
Exactly.
But that scenario is a little different when it's a parent-child. Up to a certain age, that could be a little arguable what that age is. I think it depends on the parent and the child, myself, and the community they're in.
For sure.
But it is a parent's child, a parent's job or responsibility to intervene when a child is doing harmful behavior because they don't know better, right?
I would say so. I mean, because, if humans are programmable by nature, so that you can be programmed either to be peaceful or evil, right? And so if it's a parent's job to do that programming, and that's why you have, a lot of times if you have delinquent parents, you'll have delinquent children, and so I do think it's the parents' responsibility to a certain age to help just reinforce that, conscience that they really do have themselves, and just reinforce them listening to their conscience, and, knowing, oh yeah, I'm having a bad gut feeling when I do this, so maybe I shouldn't do that. Reinforcing those values, I think, is good as a parent up to a certain level.
Yeah, well, I guess when they become an adult, right? Which is, I mean, I don't know, in terms of brain development, I think that's like 18 or 21, right?
I think it kind of varies with the maturity of the kid, but yeah, I mean, I think that kind of what Chris was saying, it's like, depends on the parent, depends on the kid, depends on the community they're in,
But see, the thing is the thing about it is
I
that,
don't think there's just like a blanket age, like, oh, you're an adult, boom, you hit 18, now you're an adult.
but I mean, the thing that I think what I heard Leo saying was that what you see with the government now is that they think they can come in and take over. Like recently, there was something in Colorado. They've decided that they can do assisted suicide for people who are ill or whatever, and you can just see that being used totally to the wrong. You know what I mean?
Can you guys do me a favor and see if your live stream is open in your browser?
Yeah, there's still that echo.
I'm going to troubleshoot this.
Okay.
Yeah, I can, it's open in my browser, it's muted. I can turn it off, or I can just get rid of it completely.
Let's see if that works.
Is that any better?
Check 1, 2. Nope.
I can still hear it.
All right.
I don't know, it's weird.
Versus discovery.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have an echo. I have a headphones and yeah, just earbuds and everything, so it should be good.
Only Chris and I are echoing.
Huh.
Weird.
Oh, I hear you faintly, Joanna.
You hear me faintly echoing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hear myself too. What the heck is it? Ugh.
Weird, I don't hear any echoing over here. So.
Maybe we can try turning down the gain. I just stopped echoing. Wait, it's so faint now. It's much fainter. Chris, what do you think?
It does seem like it just got a little better.
Yeah, it could have been. That was one of the things they said. Make sure it's not your browser running your live stream and echoing.
Right, yeah.
My
Well,
browser, I don't think I've ever tried
it's
a
no
browser.
longer opened, so shouldn't be.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah.
think I have a browser.
it's a lot better. I don't hear it now. Oh, it's still there a little bit, but it's faint. Way better.
How about you, Joanna? You got this.
Do you feel this? Okay, I'm just gonna close all my browsers in case there's something. How's that? Is that better? Are we all done? We're good. Sounds good, right?
Still echoes a little bit.
Check 1,
Really?
2. Check
Mhm.
1, 2.
Check
I'm
one.
not echoing.
I don't hear it.
It's very
Weird.
faint now, though. Way better.
Hold on. Get these guys painted in here.
So yeah, let's talk about. I don't think we've been talking about though the topic, which is this. Oh, I fucking do hear the echo again. What is up?
Okay, now try turning down your microphone gain. Turn your
Mine?
turn your gain down.
You mean the just the volume? I mean, I don't
Volume
have.
on the headset itself. Try turning
Yeah,
your
exactly.
microphone volume.
Yeah.
Actually, go into the Zoom meeting and turn your volume down a little.
All right.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Talk. I think now that Woody's gone, is it gone? Joanna, talk.
Talk, talk, talk.
Yeah, it was Woody the whole time.
Where'd he go?
He's probably joining back again.
Weird.
Yeah.
Woody,
Hi,
we
Woody.
think it's you.
It's like trying to figure out who farted.
I. Oh God, that's so funny.
Check 1, 2. We solved it.
But where's Woody? Is he
He's
there?
back.
There he
Yeah.
is. Good.
My
All
thing's
right.
sideways now.
Are you sideways? Yeah, you are.
I was thinking about this symbol,
Oh wow, nice
Okay.
symbol.
and then I was like, I want to try to make that into a design. So I came up with this. Like,
Second. Hold on, let
Oh,
me
very
spotlight
nice.
you real fast.
So it looks like a plant.
it's like, yeah, it's
Oh,
gonna be
nice.
kind of like a
Oh, nice.
Very-
berry with that design in the middle.
Oh, very nice. I like that. Is this for something specific or just for you?
It's just for my brain.
Okay, good. Good,
It's for brain therapy.
good, good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's what this is. Brain therapy. Yeah, so I just wanted to just
Oh,
say,
truth.
huh?
Or I mean, discovery versus
Belief.
belief. So I mean,
Well,
if we're
that
going,
to
if
me
we're trying to
is,
steer this back into that
so
direction,
I
you
think to
know,
me that is basically having prejudice against something without investigating it. Like prejudging something, making decisions based on other people's information and not having your own experience with something. Belief versus
that's
discovery.
belief. Yeah.
That's what I would
Uh-huh.
say. Discovery is
Discovery.
when you set out to figure it out for yourself. So, I mean, like I could just take this PMA nightmare that I've been in for the last 4 months as a great belief. So belief was that it was, wow, what a great idea. PMA is awesome. And then the discovery has been just like this uphill battle to try to understand the whole situation, and first trying to pick somebody to do it, and then picking that person and trying to follow the directions and watch all the classes and trying to absorb the classes, and then just today finding out this whole other piece that I had been excluded from by accident. They left me out of the Zoom meeting or whatever. I mean the Telegram channel. So my belief could have been, you know, either way. I could have said, oh, this is too hard, I don't want to learn how to do this. Or it could have been, oh, this is great. Which originally my first experience was with this was when the our one of our freedom groups wanted get one for the group. And she got David Edwards to write the paperwork, and it was for a faith-based PMA. And when we got the paperwork, it was horrible, a horrible mess. And we just couldn't believe it at first.
What was the name of the guy who gave you that PMA?
David Edwards.
Oh, that's not the, okay. We were hearing about another guy that they said was not really good at that stuff either.
Yeah, so he gave us this mess. It was basically a mess in syntax and format, and it was a mess because it said that we, as a faith-based organization, we would be under ecclesiastical law, which is the Vatican. So we were like, no, we don't want that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the traditional PMA structure.
It was bizarre. It was truly bizarre. So I'll tell you now, my belief versus now, I mean, I wouldn't, unless there becomes a really good way to do this, I wouldn't recommend it to the normal people to go through.
Well, one of the problems with it is it's all tied to man-made law, which we know how confusing that can get.
Exactly, yeah. You know, this is what I was trying to kind of tell the story about this whole law thing we're doing. Taking all of these people who know these things and giving people these resources, you know, because I don't advocate petitioning the government for rights. I don't advocate using man's law. But my analogy is this. When Neo had to fight for freedom, he had to go back into the Matrix to do it, and he had to download a bunch of programs to be able to fight them. So that's sort of similar to what using these techniques is. You can't like blast your way out of it, even though that may be your right, your self-defensive right, because technically they're enslaving you. But that strategy is not going to work right now. So, you know, if you can chip away at those laws from the inside, that's really kind of like the only remedy that people have at the moment. And it works.
Yeah, it's the more of these loopholes in the laws and stuff like PMAs that you can form to skirt some of the other laws, it's like the better, you know, these are all just tools to help us become more free and break down the system that's currently there.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
with the
Within
system
Matrix.
and
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
So
Right, but the thing is like we made me and this other lady yesterday made a presentation about PMAs to this group of people in the Denver Stands Up movement, and I could just see them, how they were like, they were believing us, or they had a belief that they should go with her down the road she was on because it sounded easier or something. And I know that from listening to her, I'm like, oh God, I hope that this is going to work for you. I'm not sure who's doing it. It's somebody in California. But I could just tell that the people basically want something they can believe rather than something that requires that they have to discover a lot of things, you know, have to learn how to think differently about the private versus the public. I mean, there's so much you have to kind of learn for this sort of thing. And you can't, it's not just, you know, Google it, man, and you've got the answer. You actually have to use the trivium. You have to use your brain. You have to, I've had to do anyway, had to pray a lot, meditate, try to open my mind to the ideas. It's not easy. It's not an easy answer for us in the condition that we're currently in, being that we've been dumbed down and programmed.
welcome, Jeff.
Hello.
Jeff!
Jeff Medine
Awesome.
from Blowback Galleries joining us now.
Okay.
Cool. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Wanted to
I'll be
say
back.
hello. Yeah, no worries.
We could do like
Stand.
universal ceiling mount. and then
So yeah, it's just interesting though.
dry
Definitely. I just found a picture in my book. Since I can't find my pencils, I'm looking just through the
You
pages.
can't find your pencils?
No, I don't know where they are, and I kind of put the mechanical pencil on the paper, and I'm like, this is going to destroy this drawing. You know, I
Aw.
got, like, you know what, a nice pencil set with all the different flavors in it, and I just haven't done this kind of stuff in so long. I can't imagine. I think the closet has to
It'll-
get pulled apart, which is
I'll
not.
find it
now.
eventually.
But check this out. I want to show you this cool.
Oh, yeah,
picture.
show us.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Here,
wanna
let me
see-
spotlight this.
This is my grandmother, okay, and my grandfather, and they're holding my dad, and they called him Toe for a nickname because he was a towhead. These are some of my aunts and uncles, and they're from Kentucky. My grandmother had 13 children.
Holy crap.
You know.
God bless
Wow.
her.
That's pretty cool old photo.
Yeah. Mama Boone, they called her. Mama Boone.
Yeah, I can imagine that. That's great.
Awesome.
Oh, I don't want to see me.
Yeah, we see you.
I don't want to see me. I'm not
You-
ready for
okay.
prime time. Can you cut that out of this video, please?
Okay, we will
Promise?
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
clip it.
Yeah, I'll make a note to do that.
Thank you so much. Don't want that in the ether forever.
Okay.
Luckily,
Yeah.
it was like 2 seconds, so.
Oh, they'll pause it. They'll make a meme out of me.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah, we'll see where we're at in time.
47.
5:47.
Well,
Gosh, I'll make a note here.
thank you.
No worries.
So, they lived in a little town called Lebanon Junction, and right next to, like, 3 houses down from my grandmother was the graveyard. And you know, her husband died. He died, and she could see his gravestone from her kitchen window.
What?
Yeah, totally crazy. And right next to that was this little mountain. It's called the Knob, and it's kind of like a rite of passage for us to climb that knob, you know, generationally.
Oh, nice.
And this is in Kentucky?
Hmm.
Wow. You've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
Is it like still rural?
Well, sort of, in some areas, yes. And it was interesting when I went to the store in that town. They looked at me. They're like, "You're Francis's daughter." I'm like, "How the hell do you know that?" You know.
Your mother's name is Francis?
Father's name is
Oh,
Francis.
your father. My mother's name was Francis. That's funny.
And my
Wow.
aunt, my dad's sister, my aunt, Sister Ann Margaret, she went to this convent when she was like 14. And it's called the Church of Nazareth, and it's this huge estate. It was a college for women at one point. It's literally, it has its own post office, this little,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's so cool, this little area. And my grandfather was a train conductor. And so he used to drive, the train cut through the church grounds. And every time he would drive through, he would ring his whistle for her.
Aw.
And to this day, every train conductor still rings the whistle.
Aw.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cute.
But she ended up being the director of the place for, like, you know, many, many years, like her whole life, basically. But yeah, that's where, like, they have the family reunions from my family on that grounds. It's pretty cool.
But you don't have a desire to move back there, huh?
Well, no, I moved away when I was a kid.
I mean, like to go off the grid or whatever.
No, I don't have any connections there, really. I didn't grow up with them.
Uh-huh.
We moved around. But it's cool because I know some of the lore.
Yeah, it's neat. So are you drawing now with any implement?
Well, I do have this pencil in my hand and this paper in front of me,
Woohoo!
but
Hey,
it's
you
a
could start a
mechanical
new
pencil.
drawing. You could start a new drawing. Maybe start a new one if you're afraid to mess that one up.
Mechanical pencils are nice to draw with. I mean, I haven't worked on this piece. I'm not crazy about this piece at all, the one I'm working on right now, but I'm not going to judge these pieces. I'm just going to get them done for this show. And wants to tell me a lot about it, but I'm just like, nope, I'm doing this, and this is what I'm doing. This is what came out in the last session, and this is what I'm doing. So that's it. Because I mean, I was blocked for like 5 years. I really couldn't do any work until I forced myself to do certain things, but I don't know. It's weird. I just haven't really been that excited about doing anything. I mean, basically, it was like after trying to digest the work, I just couldn't put together in my mind that it was that if all I was doing was art, that was enough. So it's been a while.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel like that writing is kind of, I'm able to convey so much, and I learned so much that I have to write now and put it out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I'm compelled.
Yeah. But then I started
Good
to,
way to release some of that stuff though too is just by writing it out or drawing it, you know, just helps clear the mind a little bit too, because I know I get like a lot of ideas and inspirations, and if I don't do anything with those, then they just keep bouncing around in my head and it causes cloudiness.
well, what you were talking about earlier, Chris, weren't you talking about the energy?
What do you mean by energy?
You were talking about your Scritch.
Oh, the creative
Podcast.
energy. Yeah.
The creative energy. Yeah. I've seen people stop doing visual art after doing visual art for a long time and then literally go insane because they're not utilizing that particular channel. Even if you rechannel it into something else, that person did rechannel it into something else, but he still went nuts because he wasn't doing that primal thing that he had learned how to do when he was a kid. And I don't know, sometimes it feels like a possession, honestly. I'm sort of possessed by the spirit that says I have to do artwork regardless of whether it's quote unquote good or not, or has anything of value in the world. I just have to do it. And I do get a lot of information that comes to me while I'm doing it
The Scritch,
or afterwards.
we were like making up music as we went along, you know.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because the whole goal is like try to use minimal recording equipment, but we like to record them and just whatever instruments we had, just try to make something in the short amount of time that we would have. And what was weird is a lot of the songs wound up being like strangely prophetic, and they weren't stuff we planned out, or, you know, I'd write down a few lyrics as we were going. And then we would play these songs over and over the years. And then when we would listen to them years later, we'd be like, whoa, it like predicts the future and stuff.
Yeah, it does.
It was kind of cool, but it was just such a unique experience of realizing how much of that magic happens in the moment when you don't plan. And I wanted to try to share that with other people.
I do have the same kind of experiences with music as well, where you're like playing something, you don't even know what you're playing, but you're like, oh, that sounds good, so I'm gonna repeat it, or I'm gonna remember how to play that so I can play it again. And it's almost like you're just like channeling that information in from somewhere or something. It's weird.
Or like the little accidents or
Yeah.
mistakes would wind up being the most like cherished, coolest part of the whole thing that you would have never done on
Right.
purpose. Like there was a couple of those little tracks where you could hear my little daughter yelling down the hall or something right at the perfect spot in the end of the song or something. You know, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have discovered for myself that my drawing is prophetic. And that's what I mean. I think that it's been occulted. I think that's why the powers that be shouldn't be have made visual art into like a joke.
You know, do you remember that children's show? And I can't think of which show they played this in, but it was a cartoon and it was a song about Simon. You know, my name is Simon, and the things I draw come true. Won't you take me, take me, take me climbing over the garden wall with you? Did you ever hear that song?
I
Mm-mm.
don't know.
I can't think of like what child's show I used to see that on. If it was like Zoom or Romper Room or, you know, one of these things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which one it was, but that was something that as a kid, that was some of the programming.
But that's actually the thing. I think it's actually true. I think you can manifest, you can use drawing as a manifestation tool. I mean, I've done it actually recently just to test it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they want
it can
us to know
work
that.
in different degrees. It doesn't always work, you know, but it can work.
I mean, if you just think back to the cave wall thing with the caribou, it's likely that they brought that animal right to the cave by making that painting on the cave wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to like just any type of manifesting. There's things in nature, and there's also like reality inertia. And so I feel like if whatever you're trying to manifest benefits more people than just yourself, or if it's beneficial on a broader scale, I think it's it's more likely to manifest than if it's extremely like selfish and personal
Yeah.
thing that you're trying to manifest. And so so there is part of that to it, and that is some stuff that has actually been studied and stuff, and has statistical, you know, I forgot what they call it, statistically likely that.
Well, I
certain
think
stuff
that
can
my
happen that
own
way.
experience is that if you live by natural law, you will be more magnetic when it comes to manifestation. So if you're following natural law and not causing any harm to anyone and trying to be helpful to others, then you will bring in. I
And
don't know.
that's-
It's been
That's kind of
astonishing to
similar.
me.
That's definitely similar to what I was just saying too, because that's, you know, if you are living in accordance to natural law, like behavioral law, and you're trying to manifest things, it's more likely that what you're going to try to manifest is going to be beneficial to more people than if you're living in opposition to natural law. Then it's more likely that you're going to try to manifest something selfish, probably. So
Yeah, which this is
think
where I don't
that's-
understand
I
how
think
they're
that's part
doing
of
so
it,
well.
you know.
But I guess because they're, you know, helping each
Well,
other and the
it's-
system is their system.
It's a numbers game too, and that's kind of part of a reality inertia. Is enough people believe it or listen to it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that I believe that narrative." Then, you know, that's part of it too. Is like the collective belief in something can help manifest things as well. You know, it might not manifest us being able to fly, but you know, as far as convincing people to be scared of a certain germ, that is something that can be You know,
Oh God.
if
can't
enough
believe-
people believe that, it's gonna take effect within our social, you know, confines of our society. If it were, you know, that's why it's like you look outside and there's no, you know, animals aren't afraid of a certain germ or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious, believe me. Even in the freedom community here, everybody believes in it. 100%.
That's kind of like going into like belief
versus
versus discovery, you know. I mean,
Yes,
if
that
you're
is
going to
true.
just turn on the news and you're just going to believe everything that comes out of your TV when you turn on the news, then that could be detrimental.
Well, but the thing is, like, even the freedom community here, I mean, they believe in, you know, freedom of choice, but everybody believes that this whole thing is real in a certain way. And
I was
it's so
wondering if-
funny to me. I mean, we did a colloidal silver workshop yesterday, which was really super fun. But it was all about, you know, get a nebulizer and start breathing it in to avoid respiratory infection. I'm just like, oh God, really, you guys?
I'm wondering, I wonder if we could come up with some beliefs that are dominant things out there in the world that people believe, maybe without like actually just having going through the discovery process and discovering for themselves.
Oh, sure, let's do that.
That could be fun.
I believe
you
the sun is going to come up tomorrow,
know.
because
Well,
it always has. But that's probable cause. That's not really belief.
but you've also backed that up with your understanding of the science of the celestial movements of space and how the earth is rotating and stuff like that. So based on that science, that
Oh, I guess I could
explains
say I
why
believe that
that's
the
a
world is
discovery.
a globe, because there's no way I can prove that, but I still do believe that it's a globe.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's one, believing that the world's a globe, or some people believe it's flat. There's some beliefs there, or just believing in different types of religions. We're all different beliefs. Or believing in authority, you know, that's a thing.
No, believing in money, the monetary system.
Which is, you know, arguably religion.
Well, especially because of the usury part, you know, that nobody knows about really. Nobody knows about the absolute diabolical nature of interest. That's amazing to me. I mean,
I was just gonna say, it's looking at belief too is like credibility. I feel like some people are more likely to believe something if they believe it's coming from a credible source, which there can be some gray area as to what a credible source would be. So I think that's part of the discovery process. In the questions you're asking, you know, are you getting those? How credible are the sources you're getting it from? And maybe that doesn't matter as long as you're getting it from enough sources that you can decipher which, you know, is actually true or not based off of, you know. And you might even have to do some of your own experimentation depending on what it is you're trying to discover as well, I guess.
I need a model.
a model of what?
Somebody holding something. I can't. I need to get the perspective properly on anatomy.
Oh, do you want one of us to do it for you?
I don't think there's enough room in there.
You could I don't know if you have another computer, if you can pull up just like an image online maybe
Okay.
that you could look at. That's what I usually do when I have that problem.
Okay.
Sometimes you can find one, sometimes you can't.
Well, I basically I tell people I don't have beliefs. I have knowledge or a lack of knowledge, and I just try to reserve my opinions for things that I have knowledge about. And if I don't, then I endeavor to learn about it, or I just come to the conclusion that that's not something I can learn or know with what I have available.
Right. That's a good way to approach things.
And there are things I observe, but I don't have to have a belief in either direction. I don't have to decide to believe one side or the other. I can just be an observer of it.
And that's part of being teachable, because you can hold that notion in your mind as an observation without necessarily believing it one way or another.
Isn't that in and of itself something that Mark talked about? Being able to hold something in your mind without having to decide about it? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's part of the teachability.
I'm not sure. Okay, I don't remember specifically. I've heard it though.
Yeah, it's definitely has to do with having a strong mind rather than, having to. A weaker mind would have to draw a conclusion, or it wouldn't. Another aspect of a weaker mind would be that they couldn't hold two different opposing thoughts without drawing a conclusion.
Yeah, it's important in, like, if you're trying to find truth, because maybe you found something, a problem, or something that you're trying to decide whether this is a truth or a false. Well, you're going to have to ask some questions and find some answers. And in the time that you're doing that, you're holding that kind of in limbo within your mind before you add it to your, oh, this is my fact catalog, or this is my fiction, goes into the fiction catalog. And so kind of like, you're not necessarily going to believe in it unless it's a fact. It'll go end up in the fiction category. But before it ends up in the fact category or the fiction category, it's kind of in this like nebulous limbo period.
like for example, God. I have knowledge through not just gnosis, not just through discovery, but through other people's experiences that I've read, to be able to know that there's a God. Nature shows me that there's a God. Science shows me that there's a God. There's enough knowledge available. I don't have to believe in a God.
Right. Yeah, there's plenty of data out there that there is one. I think it can be kind of daunting to people as to what that is, what that entity is, and we're kind of like, we don't have the perception to see it. A lot of people like to turn it into like a human like entity.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh, let me see.
Getting-
Oh, beautiful. Look, that's amazing. You are,
More colorful.
that's fantastic. Look at that. Nice.
It's looking good.
That's like a very nice. Come on, Joanna, what is it? Trinity, a double Trinity.
You know, I was thinking about the most dangerous beliefs that so many people share. And what is it that they really believe that's so dangerous? It's like the belief that it's okay to be irresponsible or to not care about what reality is in the bigger picture, or what your responsibility as a human being is. Like there's some things that you can't escape, that we're here to have this like learning spiritual experience, and that there's more to it than day-to-day mundane experiences. And people are choosing to have a belief that you can ignore that and you don't have to deal with that aspect of life, that you can just live materialistically and just don't think about all that stuff that's hard to think about. And that's like the real disease that's destroying humanity. And it's like, it's not working out. It won't work. And people think it'll work, but it won't. I think that's the most dangerous belief, that you can
It's
ignore your
true.
responsibility as a human being to figure out why you're here and try to understand it in a true way.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I think that is definitely very true, that, you know, the care principle of caring is very important, not to, you know, believe you can ignore.
Right, but I mean, if people aren't even taught that, it becomes like a something that they don't even realize that they, because people now, I don't even know if anything is encouraged, any kind of individualist thinking is encouraged anymore at all in school. You know, only these people in homeschool might getting that.
It's definitely not encouraged.
So then, God, I mean, because it is a lot like the Matrix, like getting people to believe that this is it. This place is all there is. And this system is real. You know, so that your main focus should be, you know, what color your curtains are going to be in your new house or whatever, that's somehow really important. And that this place isn't actually a mystery school.
That's like being distracted from understanding, you know, how your actions may actually be harming others through this materialistic ways, you know.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, how do we get, if there's people that don't care, what can we do to get them to care, you know? That's a tricky one.
I don't
Art
know.
might help.
What?
Art and creative
Yeah.
energy
Oh,
might
art,
help.
yeah.
For sure.
I mean, what else brings inspiration but evoking emotions with art?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree with that. Oh, see here,
Hello.
Jeff. Oh, hey, Jeff.
Hi,
How you
Jeff.
doing?
We have
Sorry.
quite a few
Welcome.
people here today.
What'd you say?
We have a few people. We have
I do
Leah,
see them up there.
Leah and Chris.
All right. Hi,
Also-
Pure Heart and Chris.
Unluckily, I gotta take off pretty soon here. I gotta get dinner.
Oh, okay.
No worries. Thank
I'll take
you
your place.
for joining us.
Yeah.
You can show us your piece before you leave. I'll make sure and get it spotlighted for everyone.
I need a rosin bag. I mean, this is good though. Like I never thought I'd be drawing right now.
You are drawing. You're actually drawing, even though you don't have everything that you want.
You want to see?
Yeah, yeah, I want to see.
All right, if I come on, you got to cut me off the video. Is it on? Okay.
Let me
wait.
see.
Okay, I haven't,
We're not
I haven't
seeing the.
spotlighted you yet. Here, let me add spotlight.
Like that.
Wow. Oh, that's great, Leah. Keep
Yeah,
going.
I'm having foreshadowing. That's why I need a model. I'm having foreshadowing.
Oh,
Like the arm, I need, I'm just kind of doing outlines and I don't really have my perspectives in good.
Oh, it's
oh yeah, the
No,
foreshadowing.
it's
Sorry.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, keep going, please. That's fantastic. I want to see more. That's so wonderful. I'm so happy that you're drawing. That's so good.
So 8:16, cut me out. Next time, check.
No, you're not. We didn't see you really. We didn't
Yeah, I
see your.
think
I really
you're,
don't want that to go out.
You're not there. I didn't see you. I just
I
saw
didn't
your
see
hand
anybody.
and your glasses.
Nobody.
That was
As
it
long
for
as
like
you
a.
promise that for the other one.
We promise.
I'll do what I can with the, I might have to take down the live stream thing and then put up a new edited version, which that's fine.
Oh, thanks. I just, wasn't. Martin, I got my thing set. Martin set it to like a widescreen thing.
So Jeff, I discovered today that Leah is an incredible artist, and so, but by grace, she showed up here and is doing some art. So it's really cool.
No, I haven't.
So how do you guys know each other?
Natural law community.
Okay.
That's a good answer. I like that answer.
Yeah.
That's accurate, I would say.
Jeff is part of he's part of the autonomy community too. So that's another place we know each other. It's from
Very
autonomy.
Initially, that's how we met, right?
Yeah, initially because Richard, when Richard did my call, he told me that about Jeff, and he told me that I should do a show down there and film myself doing my intuitive painting class. That was part of what he sold me on. And then eventually I finally called Jeff up and said, okay.
Oh.
And then things got really interesting after that.
Right.
Jeff decided to do the show.
And then you guys came down, we had a visit?
Yep. Me and Woody went down there.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah. I was just in Denver yesterday.
You were and didn't try and
I'm
contact
sorry.
us, you little brat.
Sorry.
What's up?
I had two prints and do you know Edge Gallery?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had two prints in that show. And then Shannon Palmer, who does my marketing, she had a print. So she brought the stuff up and the deal was I had to pick it up. So I went up there and zoomed up there, had a meal and came back.
I'm sorry you had to come up here, but
I'm glad I don't live there. That's all I can say.
yes, I understand. Believe me.
Sorry.
Satanism at its best. We do have the Sedalia Castle, which is where the Council of 13 do their equinox rituals. And we have our airport, which is so divinely inspired. And we have also this horrible hotel across from the Brown Palace Hotel. It's called, I can't remember. Am I going to forget the name of it? It's not a hotel, actually. It's an empty building where they supposedly do the horrible sacrifices of children on the equinox. Yep.
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah. Stu Webb, who's like a crazy whistleblower, ex-CIA or FBI guy, talks all about it. He is kind of nuts, but you probably would be if you had a soul and worked for either the CIA or the FBI.
For sure.
So yeah, Denver, I don't know. It's like, it's on the 104th ley line, which is a very powerful ley line. And that's why, they're here because of that. Because anything that is done in Denver can use the Earth's grid to make it louder.
All right, guys, I'm gonna cut out.
All right.
I'm
Talk
gonna
to you
leave
later.
Have a good
my
night.
picture for the week.
Amazing.
That's I'm very inspired by that. That's very good. Thank you for doing that.
I really made me
With
happy to
with
see it.
Crayola markers, no less. I mean,
I wound up
Chris, real-
using highlighters and a pen.
that's amazing.
Cool. Well, thanks for inspiring me, and it was good to hang out. I'll have to come back. Thanks.
I would hope you would.
All right. Have a good one.
Good night, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was nice having Chris join us.
Yeah, it was really. This is a really
Where's
exciting
where's Chris from?
He's out
autonomy.
in California. He's on the. I think he's on the West Coast somewhere. I'm not sure.
Does he know about the show?
Yeah, we've been talking about it,
Okay.
but I don't know that we made it clear that we need pieces in the show. I will tell him that.
Well, you did a while ago. You did do a little call to art
Oh, I
in
did, right.
there. But yeah, it couldn't hurt to do another one of those at some point, just to get more interest on people. You know, I know like there's some people that were interested initially when you sent out the first message a couple months ago.
Yep. How's it going, Jeff?
Oh, so okay. There was two professors from CSUP that were just here, and one of them is going to have a short show. It's only going to be up for about 8 days, and he's doing a video projection, and he's giving the gallery a pretty nice 5,000 lumen projector, Hitachi projector.
Wow.
The school replaced them all with, I guess better, more modern, but it looked pretty nice to me. And we did a little trial. That's why I had to step away, because we were doing a little test, and it looks great.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so we can do projection for the show, and then I have another computer and a big monitor, so we can have some stations. There's a couple people that are going to provide some projection or video kind of work, so that's great. And
Oh, well, we could definitely, I'm sure we could run some truth themed podcast of friends.
And so that's what the one professor said. So they're doing this kind of really cool. It's brand new, and so what they want to do is really up their game in terms of video, project management, multi-speaker sound installations. He just took 12 students down to South by Southwest, and he went to a bunch of different seminars and saw some really nice projection and sound stuff. Meow Wolf had a pretty nice space down there apparently, and he said it was pretty impressive what they're doing. So he wants to do things like that. And then we talked about, to me, it's like getting the college more integrated with the town, because when I lived in Durango, Fort Lewis was there, and they really didn't have crap to do with the town. It's kind of like they just looked down on it, It's just like they didn't do anything in regards to the town. It's pretty sad.
It's pretty normal.
Yeah, pretty normal. But these guys are new professors, and so they're not burnt out, and they have good experience. They've been around, and so they said good things to me. And they, these things will actually help the gallery too, the way I see it. So
That's great.
it is good. Yep. What have you been doing, Joanna?
I'm still working on this. I'm working on this one that I started last week. My back has been out all week, so I haven't.
God, that is going around.
Oh, it is.
This guy who does my Matterport shooting, he came by. Well, he was there last night, and he broke my daughter's glass collage that she was doing for a client.
No, I'm sorry.
And he came by to replace the glass. And he's got back problem, as does my next door neighbor.
Well,
so-
so because of that, I just haven't been inspired to do any work. So I'm still working on the paper clay part of this
Sure.
sculpture right now. And I'm hoping that I can get, let's see, what time is it? Maybe I can get all of that done in this session so that I can start painting it. It's a pretty weird one to me, but I'm just not going, again, like I've said before, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm trusting the intuitive force that while we're discussing these topics with our friends here, that it's going to express itself the way it wants to through this weird sculpture thing I'm doing. So I'm just not going to have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Although I do have an opinion about it, but I'm just not going to verbalize that because I don't like the words have power, and I'm just like, this is what I've decided about these pieces, that I just am going to let it flow, have fun. I'm just trying to have fun with these pieces and do
Just let it
things that,
reveal itself to you.
yeah,
It'll do it.
exactly. And just
It'll
have
do it.
fun, just not
Yeah.
really care, not be too overly critical about, every little, whatever it is, and just enjoy it.
I hear you.
It's like therapy, art therapy I'm doing on myself right now.
Well, I'm really itching to do some art. I got that commission that I was drawing on my computer. I got that on Saturday for that kinetic sculpture.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, that's pretty kind of exciting.
So are you gonna use computer to do art now, or are you gonna actually use?
No, I'm gonna be welding and cutting and.
Oh, I meant right
painting.
now while we're.
No, right now I am in the process of getting this liquor license that I may have mentioned to you. Right? Didn't I?
I guess.
Yeah. So I have to denote interior, exterior spaces that will not allow, I can't have alcohol in, so I have to note all the passages and the dimensions of the exterior walls and interior walls and all of that crap, and then fill out a bunch of paperwork. So I'm about
That's
halfway
what
done
you're
with
doing right now.
paperwork. Yeah, it's just
Okay.
kind of drudgery, but,
Okay. Well,
and I should be making art, but I'm here. And I
that's
gotta
fine.
do it.
It's fine. I actually invited people. Actually, Leah inspired me to just invite people to join the conversation, whether they're making art or not. So.
Okay.
We are talking about kind of the topic you said that you were going to use for the show, which is discovery versus belief.
Mhm.
That's kind of what we're talking about tonight. And it's kind of a difficult topic, I think, although I think we were getting somewhere with it.
Uh-huh. I reached out to this guy that I met in Durango, kind of about a year before I moved. And he is pretty well, his name is Donnie Phillips, and lived in California for a real long time. And he's been working in the music industry doing, album covers and that kind of illustration.
Mhm.
And so when we talked, kind of before I moved, I actually got through to him. I mean, he really kind of listened, and then he did some research of different. I told him about Richard, and I didn't know about Autonomy. It wasn't even started at that time, but Tragedy and Hope, and some other people that he did some research on. He goes, "Man, you're on it," and so I'm going to do a piece of art for the True Show, and he goes, "What if it really upsets people?" I said, "You better." So.
Yeah, I'm here to afflict the comfortable, not to comfort the afflicted.
Correct. I've used that before. Yeah.
So this is like an actual person that you actually may have inspired to look and just
In the
choose
freedom and
discovery
yeah.
over belief.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's amazing. You
Yeah,
should
and
get a medal for
he's a
that.
really, really cool guy. I mean, he left Durango because of all the crazy liberal, masturbators,
Oh,
And
masturbators.
so they would say, "Oh, so that means you're a Trumper then?" And he goes, "No, I'm not a Trumper. I'm not. I just think I'm going to wait for a couple of years to see how y'all do." And that's what I tell people too. And so people get upset and kind of were blackballing him and yeah, I mean, that's Durango. It's crazy that way.
Well, I mean, Durango's a college town, so generally college towns have that liberal, for some reason, I don't know why, vibe to them. I don't know. I don't know
Agreed.
what it is. I mean, it used to be really great. College towns used to be really, really great for innovation and, just like Leah and I were talking about how New York was in the 80s. Oh my God, it was just amazing. The college towns used to be like that.
Well,
But
don't you
now,
remember there was an anti-war movement, right? What happened to that? Where'd that
oh,
go?
it's went out of
They
fashion.
co-opted, no, they co-opted into these other movements. Like, for example, people would protest like Exxon Valdez or, Corex being put into the Gulf of Mexico. But they co-opted all of the environmental movement into the climate change movement, which is a false movement. They're directing people into these false movements to stop the real movements.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. That's correct. That is correct.
I would say the anti-war movements are now the for-war movements.
Yeah, right? It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
insane. They're so good at what they do. You got to kind of step back and say, you guys really could get an Emmy for,
Yeah, oh yeah, let's bring freedom there.
but
I agree.
they are evil to the hilt. Woody, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm working on this. I'm trying to do this discovery versus belief piece. And so I've got these two figures here. I'm planning on painting a TV back there, and I was gonna have like maybe some like word bubbles coming off of the both characters, and one character is just like, it says like, I believe the TV, what the TV says or whatever. And then the other character is gonna says it, I've got, reservations, or like maybe there's just gonna be question marks and like a word bubble, like he's questioning what the TV is telling him. Like, I gotta discover it. I have to do more research before I'm gonna believe it. Maybe that'll be what he says. I need to answer some questions before I believe this. The other guy's going to say, I believe it because it came off the TV.
Well, I just had a couple run-ins with people that had, fresh off the TV, and they were, man, they just couldn't think for themselves. It was really, I had to walk away. I mean, they were not accessible. They were not letting themselves be accessible to new information.
Right.
I hear you. It's amazing. Oh, I know. Believe me. Believe me. Oh, God.
A lot of cognitive dissonances going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you were talking, I was thinking about something and then it just went right out of my head. So I have to try and bring that
Yeah.
back.
Don't share that with me. I have enough of that.
I was just thinking I'm a cognitive dissident.
Well,
That's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. Boy.
Well, my friends, it's a little late for me, and I'm gonna have to get out of my chair for the day. But I appreciate you inviting me here, and it was really awesome.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you come back.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us, Leah.
And I'm so glad you started
Yeah.
drawing.
Me too. I'm gonna go on. I think I'm gonna have to order new pencils. It would be easier than finding the old ones.
Good. Go for it, please.
I will. I will.
Good. I look forward to seeing it.
Cool. Thank you so
hey,
much.
Leah. Nice
Talk to
meeting
you later.
Nice to meet you, Jeff. You all have a really wonderful evening.
All right.
See you next
Yeah,
time.
you too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
She's a great
Well, that's
artist.
good.
I was blown away. Well, she's my friend. I've known her for a long time. And I never knew. She showed me her artwork today and I was like, oh my God. She's not doing it. She hasn't done a drawing for a really long time. And it was so incredible, her work. I was like, oh my God. This is the kind of thing where I feel like they succeeded in stopping artists from drawing because they don't want people to have access to that power. I truly believe that.
I truly believe it too. I mean, the artists are basically some of the last free thinkers out there because it comes from the individual. You know, you're working on your stuff. Woody's working on his, and she was working on hers, and I'm working on mine. But we're all individuals, and it's not being influenced by them. And that they can't have that.
Can't have that. No, no. Can't have that because, you know, then we might not join the metaverse. You know, it's really funny because somebody brought my attention to this thing called the Clubhouse. I don't know if anybody has heard of this.
No.
Have you, Woody? It's some kind of community online. It's some kind of like maybe in the virtual reality or something. And people are on there debating. And the guy basically wanted us to you know, get in the metaverse, and I mean, I just felt like, what the hell? Like, there's a bunch of people in a virtual reality setting debating truth or whatever, freedom and stuff like that. And I'm like, are these people free? They're stuck on their computer in the basement. You know? It's unbelievable to me. I mean, really unbelievable. Called the Clubhouse, and it's in something called the Mastermind 5D. I'm gonna definitely check it out, but yeah, I do. I feel as though the artists were targeted specifically because they don't want people thinking for themselves at all. And that's the other reason, like, I'm not really you know, worrying about what these pieces really look like, because to me they're just free expressions coming from, and I think more of that is needed. Less, you know.
Yeah, more meditative.
Well, just like more just have fun. Geez, have fun. Don't, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like a computer did it. Please. You know.
Please, I'm with you.
So, yeah, I'm kind of just along that line right now, just trying to do this weird ass artwork and enjoying doing that. But I'm so glad she did some artwork tonight. I really hope she keeps doing it. To me,
Yeah, I
it's a connection to, whatever that there is, whatever it is, it's a total connection to that. And then you have your own experience with whatever it is,
Mhm.
I actually, have any of you guys ever heard of Michelle, Small Right and Paralandria in West Virginia?
No.
Oh my God, so crazy. Um, so she is a woman who, have you heard of Findhorn?
No.
Woody, have you heard of Findhorn?
heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, it's been co-opted too. But in the 60s, uh, this group of hippies went up to Findhorn, which is in Scotland. It's in northern Scotland. And they were broke and they were like living in a trailer, like a, Winnebago or whatever of the time. And they got a plot of land in Findhorn, which was freezing cold, salty air. It's not a very nice place to live. And that's all they could afford. So they camped out there together. And they'd been doing like a lot of meditation and stuff like that. And they had been traveling around working together on different projects to make a living, just so they could survive. And it was a husband and wife and another woman. And so they didn't have any food. And so they the woman who was not married started to meditate and pray, and she started getting direction to go plant a garden on the little plot of land. And meanwhile, the soil was totally salty and it was completely, not the right soil for planting anything that was going to actually grow. But she was getting this information that she should just go out there and start planting or whatever. She followed the direction of what she was given from her meditations. And as a result, there's this incredible organic garden in Findhorn now. It's incredible. I've never, been there, but I've heard about it. Now, of course, it's been co-opted and everything. But at that time, it just became people by word of mouth traveling through Findhorn would be like, how in the hell did you grow this garden here without fertilizer, without any kind of changing soil or anything like that? And she just told them, and so people started to go there to have that kind of connection experience. And she was basically connecting to nature spirits, and nature spirits were telling her how to grow these plants and stuff. And now, this was in the 60s. So now it's become like this crazy place people go to, how that is, right? And but then what happened was that this lady, Michelle Small Right, she had a really crazy life. In her book, she wrote a book called Behaving as If the God in All Life Matters. And she basically tells her crazy story of she had a crazy life where she was like, one of her parents was an alcoholic, and they like put her in a convent school, and it was horrible. And she didn't have, at one point, like she didn't have money. So she's basically starved to death for a while she would, because she had to pay for the convent school, but she didn't have money she had money for the school, but no money for food or a place to live. So she just had this crazy life, right? So eventually she graduates and goes to she ends up in West Virginia, and she finds this book about Findhorn, and she has purchased a piece of land with her husband, and she decides that she's going to plant she's going to contact the nature spirits to help her create a garden well, she calls it Paralandria, which is after a book by I think it's what's his name? C.S. Lewis wrote a book about Paralandria. So she steals that name for her huge garden. So she took on the work from Findhorn and started doing those meditations and working with nature. And she created another amazing garden in West Virginia. And she basically sells flower essences from that place to support it. And then she did this amazing weird book called the Medical Assistance Program, where a person, me, can call in this nature spirits to help you with healing and let your guides help you with healing. So long story short, I've been doing that recently myself. Again, I've done it before, but I started to, somebody recommended that I do it because of my back that never heals.
There you go. You need to work on that.
Huh?
You need to work on the back.
Yeah. So yes, it's fascinating material.
So let me ask you a question. So the original Einhorn,
Findhorn.
So she did no soil amendments?
Nope. No, you can read about this. I mean, there's a few books out there by people who were there. You can even find those books on like Z Library or libgen.is and, check them out. And then like, that's what I did was I checked out the books and I was like, oh my God, I have to read these books. And so I got them from Amazon used. People's experience. One of the people was Robert Ogilvie, who has had a direct interaction with the god Pan, and Pan materialized before him in Edinburgh. It's incredible. This stuff isn't crazy shit, man. Who knows? I mean, Robert Ogilvie is a kind of a famous Scottish writer or something like that, and he went and lived there for a long time with them. And tells about his experience in nature. But he had also lived in nature in a solitary manner for 7 years prior to that. So he had sort of been initiated into the natural world that way. And they made no soil amendments. That's what was so miraculous about it, and probably why, it had to be infiltrated by the elite. They didn't want to have any power sources like that floating around. You know what I mean?
Sounds like the Tesla thing.
Sometimes you can achieve that kind of plant. Sometimes you can get some of this plant information through lucid dreaming too. There was a thing I read about where there was I think this is partly how shamans in like the Amazon, they help their patients, is they'll actually go into the dream state, and then they'll ask, for guidance to help heal someone. And then they'll end up on the, in the forest looking at a specific plant. And then, they'll take that, they'll go get that plant and use that plant to heal whoever it is they're trying to heal, which is interesting.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, I mean, totally fascinating stuff. I love it. And I don't know, my friend suggested that I bought that book a long time ago and I used it for a long time, and then I stopped using it, as I do with everything. And she reminded me about it. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll do the map again. And basically I'm calling in the Diva of Healing and the White Brotherhood, that's a whole other, the White Brotherhood is like all the ascended masters from many hundreds of years ago, thousands
Are
of years
they
ago.
good brothers?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, it's funny because she says like a lot of people have complained that them being called the White Brotherhood makes it sound like they're white supremacists,
Mm.
but they're not. They're not. They're
No.
people like Saint Germain and Jesus and Buddha and all the Siddhartha, you know, all those people who've come and gone. And yeah, it's totally
Their
fascinating.
consciousness is still here and maybe awake inside of other beings as we speak.
Yeah. Oh, like Hermes. Hermes is in the White Brotherhood.
Uh-huh.
All of them,
Thoth.
both.
Thoth, Hermes. Well, Thoth and Hermes are supposedly the same person, but
Right. So, yeah, it's totally
So I was-
fascinating
so I have
stuff.
a
I love
question for
this
you
stuff.
guys.
What's
I'm
that?
working on this. I have this character. You probably can't see it very good, but it says,
I
I
can see
need
it.
to look in this before I believe. And then the other one, I was saying, should I write the news said so, so I believe, or should I write just the TV said so, so I believe?
Or you could say the Tell Live Vision said so.
Yeah, well,
so
I was just
believe.
thinking TV might be like a little bit too
Generic.
generic.
No, I
just
meant
like, or
tell
it's just
lie.
too broad,
You know, the
because there's
Tell
not,
Lie
obviously there's not,
Vision.
yeah.
I like that. I
Okay.
need to look into this TV before I believe. That's good.
It's
Or
up
maybe
to
I
you.
worded that bad too. I had to look into this before I believe. Maybe
Yeah,
that's a little bit too
Not look,
vague.
didn't
so.
look into the
Well, but the
TV.
TV's right there, so they're
Yeah,
looking at it.
yeah.
What's going to be
But
on
anyways.
the, what's the image on the TV?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
I guess my first
I mean, you
I don't
could
even know
you
if
could
you
say I
need to
believe
have
the
the
programming. I believe
I
the
don't know if
programming. I know.
yeah,
You just wrote the-
maybe I'm
the-
overthinking it.
I think. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you are because I mean what you said because that does imply something that I'm not sure was what you wanted, which is that the person's going to look into the TV.
Right.
You know, so maybe you need to be
Yeah.
super careful.
I could easily change that, where I wrote in, I need to look into this before I believe. I could write, I need to research this before I believe.
Yeah.
I like
Research.
that.
And then the other person is just like, the TV or the news says so, so I believe.
Yeah, well, that's more specific, the news.
So
The news says it.
Well-
Why should I question it?
yeah,
They wouldn't tell me it if it wasn't true.
There's
like that.
yeah.
What would that mean? That might mean they're trying to kill me. Oh, no, that can't be true. No, no.
the news said so, so I believe.
Yeah, so Jeff, I went to this colloidal silver class yesterday in Littleton, and it was amazing. There was this nurse there. She was a nurse, but she's not right now because she said She worked for Denver Health. She
Uh-huh.
said, don't go to Denver Health, no matter what. She told me. She said, she said the things that went down were so crazy before she quit. She said like things where people would come in and they wouldn't be allowed to treat them for what their actual ailments were. And they had to, of course, say it was, the C word. And basically put them on remdesivir and blow out their lungs. Like she basically saw that all go down, like, which is something I've only heard about from a third party, not actually from someone who was actually being called to do it. And she said she would actually say to people like her coworkers who she'd known for so long, she'd say, do you really think what we're doing is really helping people? And they would just look at her and go, it's my job. I have to do it. Like she would watch them go into a trance kind of, and say that back to her. It was fucking scary, man. I was like, oh my God.
I have a pretty good colloidal silver story.
Oh yeah.
I had a growth on my shin. Then it didn't change. It was just like a scab that never went away. It wasn't big or ugly or anything. It just wouldn't go away. So I had it chopped off by a doctor, and it was kind of healing, but it never really completely healed. I mean, it wasn't any open sores or anything, but it was like this scaly skin. So I put colloidal silver on it starting about 2 weeks ago. And after 2 applications in, it was almost gone. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? That
It is amazing.
You're
Yeah.
sold on it.
Yeah.
Because look, this thing it never went away on its own. You went to a doctor, they chopped it off, it still didn't go away. And then you put 2 applications of colloidal silver on it and it's almost gone.
It's almost gone.
Isn't that
Well,
crazy?
Yeah, it was so itchy, it was psoriasis, I guess. I'm not sure.
Oh
but
yeah.
super itchy. And all that went away after the first application, didn't itch anymore.
Wow.
And then it just started to, the itchy part where I was digging in the skin, that all went away. And so like, it's gone.
That's an interesting idea. We could maybe do something like that at the show where we have classes like that, because we were learning how to make it. That's what we were doing.
Okay.
He was teaching us how to make it with 3 9-volt batteries and a silver coin.
Huh.
And some distilled water.
Wow.
And it was very easy to make.
So what kind of output can you get? I mean, like in ounces?
Oh, you can make it as much as you want. You just have to run it. Like he only gave us like the little pint containers. And so it was an hour. But if you wanted to make more, you just run it longer. And it was a great class. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I might end up buying a colloidal silver generator for like $200 down the road. Just because, this is the kind of thing, like right now, this is what I'm kind of doing is I just bought a microgreens generator thing that I can make microgreens in the house with the bulb,
Yeah.
just
I
in
should do
case,
that.
you never know what's coming down.
Yep.
And now I think it would be good to have colloidal silver on hand all the time because,
Who knows? Yep.
well, because it cures so many things.
Yeah. I mean, I take I don't know, quantity wise, but like a bulb glass tube, I'd probably do about half of that each day. I just, put it under my tongue, leave it there a while.
Oh, colloidal silver?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the guy who taught the class has diverticulitis, and whenever he told us about how for like years and years he got antibiotics for that,
Yeah.
And they were huge, heavy duty antibiotics that he would have to take. And then once he found colloidal silver, all he does is when he feels it coming on, he just takes a shot of it. And after like 2 shots over a period of days, he'll take 4 just to kill it all the way. But
Yeah.
he'll do like and it'll just go away. It'll just go away. Boom. So it's pretty amazing.
It
you
is.
know I mean, it's just like weed. It's just like anything that they just don't want us having our cutting into their profits. So they,
Right. Unless they get their cut.
yeah, exactly. It's so aggravating. I mean, I was trying to figure out what kind of water system to get, and because the tap water here is just the most revolting shit. Where I live in Thornton, it's just terrible. And I was trying to figure out what to get, some kind of thing that I could change the filters myself, basically. And so I was
So the
thinking
woman
about getting
who-
a Berkey or whatever. And then I talked to Dr. Kaufman, and he's like, well, don't get anything that has a alkaline pH. And I was like, oh no. So I had to go back to the drawing board of research. So, and I ended up getting a distiller, and then had the colloidal silver class. And then I'm like, oh, distilled water. Huh. I need distilled water to make colloidal silver.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, I'm just going to start making this stuff too, like others are, and just take it for everything. Why not? It doesn't seem to cause any harm, I don't think.
Well, blue bloods, I think that came from the wealthy elite using silver.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's where the term blue blood came from.
Huh.
And they had blue noses.
Blue noses? What do you mean?
Blue noses from the colloidal silver. I did read. I used to use it because I had sinus infections and I tried to cure myself using all kinds of things. And so I went to the colloidal silver method, and it never really got away. Never really made it. Never cured me. But I was reading, a lot of things about it, and I did hear if you use it a lot, it will turn your nose blue.
Well, that was that one guy.
One guy? Okay.
One guy turned blue, but it was because he was taking a medication that there's a couple reasons why he turned blue. It was the medication he was on, Argyria, and he would put salt in the colloidal silver, and that would make it turn into a different chemical. So he turned blue. But that's them trying to keep you from using it because you don't want to turn blue. They don't want, because colloidal gold in the 1930s, colloidal gold was being used to solve addiction problems and stuff, different problems. And they didn't want, that was right when Rockefeller merged with LJ Farben, and they didn't want it to they wanted to discourage natural remedies. So they buried the colloidal gold guy. His name was Dr. Kelsey.
Okay.
Or something like that. He had proven that colloidal gold could solve arthritis and mental illnesses. And they wanted their cut on that. So they had to make sure that these people were discredited quickly. And that's what the blue thing is about, is trying to discredit using colloidal silver. I mean, but we're not talking about drinking gallons of it and putting salt in it. You just follow the simple directions, which is you can put maltodextrin and baking soda in it to stabilize it or whatever, or to make it more consistent. But that's all that's in it, I
Okay.
guess. And or you don't have to put anything in there. Um, and then use it for whatever. And the thing was, my friend was there and she's a jeweler and she has access to gold. And I'm like, we should make some colloidal gold. We should make silver. We should
Never heard of it. Sounds great.
colloidal gold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's you can look it up. I mean, there's people selling it on eBay. Or on Etsy. I bought some because of I have, tendonitis and stuff like that. But I couldn't get enough to really try it, you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
that's the whole problem with it is people sell it for so much money that you can't really try it out and see how well it works if it's a limited supply. So but I mean, we could somehow include some of these things in the show. I mean, you know what I mean? This is part of the truth show. It could be that we share truths
I
of
Yeah.
think
things
that's a great idea.
that
This
have
is
been
how to
hidden.
make this.
Yeah.
This could, because these are things people could, should the shit hit the fan and we can't get medical supplies, these are things that people could
Do us an
use.
alternative. Yeah.
I mean, that's sudden. See, I haven't been prepping at all, right? But somehow I suddenly became inspired. Like I was like, well, I'm going to get the microgreens thing going. And then I got inspired with the colloidal silver. And then I got inspired by, having clean water. And now I'm getting a distiller. I'm like starting to prep a little bit for if I can't get, fresh greens or something for some reason, I'll have as long as I have electricity. I'm not planning for if, there's a solar flare and I have
Yeah.
no electricity, but we'll see about that. But I mean, it's just certain things that I've always wanted to do colloidal silver. And I was afraid of it because I was afraid of the water near the wire thing with the battery thing. That kind of freaked me out.
Right.
So I didn't want to try to figure it out myself. And the thing about it is that it used to be, there used to be lots of people on YouTube showing you how to make it, and they're gone. I think YouTube is censoring them now.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
No.
No, not really. I don't believe that. Not for a minute. Why would they do that? God, it's such a crazy time we're in. Holy shit.
Pretty wacky.
Huh?
I said pretty wacky.
Wacky.
TV in here. So we'll do that first. Research. That might get messy. That's okay. Just wanted to change these words here. There's no clean way to do it, so I have to
Right, because you're using oil paint, right?
wipe them out here. Yep. All right. You can use your brush as an eraser.
I truly admire that you're doing this with oil paint. That's just so daring of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I actually switched over for this these pieces. I'm using acrylic, which normally I don't normally use acrylic, but it's like, if I was
Yeah.
using oil, it would be so hard. I did the first piece in encaustic, but it didn't really lend itself to.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just like oils. See, if I wasn't doing it in oils though, I would have had to just paint that out instead of erasing it out like I'm doing here.
Right, exactly.
Are you
Which is
using
fine.
any dryer? So it speeds the drying process?
No.
No, but it looks like it's fairly thin.
Colorado
It's pretty thin
Air
right
is
now.
what he's
Yeah.
using.
Colorado,
It'll
Colorado
probably
Air,
dry
man, it
within a few
definitely
days
speeds
or
the drying
whatever, but-
process.
it's pretty dry here.
You know, you don't really need a drying process here in Colorado.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the stuff dries pretty quick out here, I've noticed.
Oh my God. I mean, in New York, it could not dry ever.
Right? This is
Yeah,
true.
it could totally not
That is
dry.
true as well. I've
Like I
had
remember like a
stuff like
red, a
that
cadmium
before.
red or something could like never dry.
Oh yeah. This
But
is true.
here, you don't need, I mean, yeah, sure. I guess if you had to show right now and you had to do something, bam, bam, you'd use a dryer, but it's like,
Right.
yeah, why bother? But yeah, no, I don't know. Just doing this flower thing. God, it's just-
I'm not gonna wash that all. Come back to it later.
Hmm?
Oh, nothing.
So discovery versus belief. Back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you could just take the colloidal silver. Like, most people believe that you're going to turn blue if you take it, so they don't use it. Discovery is you try it, and then you learn to make it, and then you like think about it. You think about the fact that this is a free. I mean, because you can use those coins or whatever you end up using forever. You never have to replace them.
Really? Wow.
No. No,
Amazing.
you can use an ounce of silver.
Well, that's
You know,
why it's
coin.
been occulted, because they don't, all the things that are like therapies that are free that you can just get all the supplies yourself to do. Pharmaceutical companies have problems with those because they can't keep reselling it over and over and over again.
You can't patent colloidal silver because people have been using it for thousands of years.
What's like that, like Royal Rife and the Rife machine, they shut that thing down because he was curing people with this device that like does like vibration frequencies, and and that's basically, once you have the device, it's free to do it, and then it's not a pill that you have to keep buying and taking over and over and over again, and keeps filling the pockets of the
Yeah,
corporations.
that doesn't work for them.
Yeah, doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not
something that's like
petroleum
basically
based.
free. If it's something that's basically free and you don't have to keep taking it over and over again and buying more of them, then that's not what they want.
Right, and
The same thing with like a vaccine. It's like, oh, you can't just have one. You have to do the boosters, and then every year we're gonna have a new one that we're gonna want you to take, and
yeah, my buddy there tells me that he's not going to take any more boosters. I was like, oh, well, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that.
A little bit late.
He goes, I don't feel very well right now. And he goes, maybe I have COVID. I'm like, do you have an upper respiratory infection? He said, no. I'm like, well, maybe it's just those jabs you got. I told him that, but then I was just like, or it could be your cigarette habit. You've been smoking cigarettes for like 35 years. I don't know. It could be anything, honey. Oh my God. So funny. Sick. I mean, but he's mentally ill. So I give him a break. just. Or whatever. I don't even believe in that mental illness exists, but it's a combination of his lifestyle choices and but his dad being CIA. They gave him a bunch of drugs and LSD combined, and it fried his brain.
Like the Unabomber.
Huh?
Like the Unabomber.
What do you mean?
He was in an MK Ultra
Oh, was he?
experiment. Yeah, when he was in college. I think he went to Harvard.
Oh, no. Yeah. William was, I would call what he went through MK Ultra as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know that though.
Yeah, so he's in the Supermax up the
Right.
road.
For mailing bombs or something.
Yeah, yeah. Mailing bombs and threatening executives. My friend, who's the art therapy, Matt Taylor, he's mad at me. He goes, hey, he's just an old man. He's kind of not really present, anymore.
Well, plus he was in MK Ultra, which totally destroys you
Yeah,
mentally.
for sure. So speaking of mental illness, so this woman, Cody Delaney, is in the show in the original gallery, the small one in front, and she lives in Thornton.
Oh yeah.
And her work is all about mental illness.
Really?
Yeah, it's really quite good work. You got your phone?
I have my hands full of
It's
clay
okay. It's
this
okay.
moment. I would love to
You can
see
actually
it.
see it. So we just did the Matterport yesterday. The show's probably coming down tomorrow, but it got shot, so you'll be able to see it up,
Oh, so it's on the gallery, like I can look at it?
Wait until probably Wednesday.
Oh, neat. That's so cool. She lives in Thornton, huh?
Yeah,
Weird.
no, her work is really, really good. She's
Wow,
got
there's
all
an
the-
artist in Thornton? Holy crap.
there's a-
How would I
there's
know
an
that?
artist in Thornton, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, she got priced out of Denver, and they just couldn't afford and find another place that they could rent that they could afford, so they moved to Thornton. So
Recently?
recently,
Oh.
I want to say in the last year,
Wow.
yeah. She's probably around 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
And does she buy into the narrative?
I haven't really had a chance to have a discussion with her to see where she's coming from. But she did a 40-minute talk during her opening, and she talked a bit about where the mental illness came from. And she didn't use the word rape, but she was definitely manhandled and beat up by her father many times. She witnessed her mother getting beat by him, and so that really traumatized the crap out of her. And I think that's where a lot of her issues are coming from. And so
Yeah.
so this stuff was just back in the recesses of her mind, and so she's taking putting it out there for all to see. And her work is really, really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, so hopefully she'll come and pick up her work up tomorrow, and I'll ask her if she wants to do a piece for the Truth Show.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you can ask. Yeah, then you'll find out.
Yep, and I'll find out.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, I would like to know artists who live up here, because mostly this place is like, it's just such a weird place. It's like Mexican and just working people, and I just don't know anybody who's an artist
Mm-hmm.
up here at all. I mean, like when I have this friend in Longmont who's an artist who's from New England, so I could really relate to her, but she's kind of a narcissist. But I
Yeah.
don't care because I haven't seen or talked to an artist in so long that I'm like, I could care less. So you're a narcissist. Oh well, I'll just deal with it. I know I'll end up getting screwed late eventually, but oh well, because I just need art, female art vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
I mean,
think
it's been so
sometimes-
long.
I'm sorry, this is a lost subject, but sometimes I feel I was just getting back to the belief versus
Go for it.
discovery kind of thing. And I feel like that, oh man, what was I gonna say? It's about the just like the laziness. I feel like sometimes people are just gonna like believe something out of the it's easier than doing the research.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Actually going through that process, that discovery process.
Well, it's terrifying. I
So I
mean, the
think that,
PMA, look, I mean, I'm telling you, the
yeah,
PMA this is a great example of this. I mean, if I had known, oh, I never would have gone through this shit that I'm going through right now with this thing in a million years.
yeah.
And I'm so not anywhere near the end of it.
Hmm.
But no, I normally would not spend time on something this difficult.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'll admit, I also use Richard and Passio. I just believe a lot of the stuff they say because I know it's true. And I haven't investigated everything that they've said,
Right.
you know?
Uh-huh.
Although
Well,
I
you
will
know,
say for myself, like I've had the vegan thing is hard on me. Like I have a hard time with um making sense of that for myself. So I've had to some of the stuff I just can't. I've got well, I go, well, I just can't accept this 100% because for me it doesn't work. Um
Yeah, and that's just like I think it's just like the least harm possible kind of thing with some of those people where it's like,
well, I understand it. Believe me, I
yeah,
understand it 100%. I do. It's just that it doesn't physically work for me physically. So I have to figure
yeah, there's
something
a
else
lot of
out.
people that that's true for, or maybe and maybe an expert would argue you're just not doing it right, or who knows?
Probably not.
I
I'm
don't,
sure I'm
I
not
don't
doing it
have
right.
enough knowledge in that area either to fully understand whether, yes, it's we're supposed to be vegan or not vegan.
But
I don't
the
have,
point is
I
not
guess
to
I don't
get
have enough
lost in this
information there.
topic, but to
Yeah.
just to talk about how
Yeah.
I
Sometimes you
believed a
just
lot
do
of what
believe
they
things.
said just because I knew it was true. But then there are certain things that they say that I can't reconcile. So then I have to have my own
Right.
experience with those things.
And maybe it's just, yeah, maybe it's an experiential thing. Like some of the things that are said, you believe because you've had experience with that. And so you're like, oh yeah, you can relate to it. But other things, it's like, I can't relate to that. So I don't believe it. Or I need more information before I believe it. Whereas certain things you just accept as beliefs right away.
Well, I could even talk
because
about like, satanic
maybe
ritual
it's that
abuse.
intuitive
Take,
thing. Yeah.
satanic ritual abuse. Like it wasn't until I heard, what's that guy's name on Mark's show?
oh,
But Jay, is that his name? Jay
Parker.
Parker. Yeah.
Is that who you're
So
talking about?
I
Yeah.
believed that my friend was lying about her kids being subjected to satanic ritual abuse until I heard Jay's talk. And then I was like, oh my God, she wasn't lying. I mean, that was my belief in the opposite direction. And then I discovered Jay and I was like, holy shit. I knew Mark,
Sure.
I knew it was real. I knew it was true. And that really was hard on my
Well, I guess
ego.
it's interesting though, that too is like what gives Jay or whatever more credibility than that lady who is your friend?
It was Mark that was Mark.
So,
I believed Mark. But then from that point on, I've had to really look at myself and how I really don't believe most of the stuff that people tell me.
mhm.
shouldn't.
Well, but no, I mean, there are things that that people tell me that I'm a contrarian. Let's put it that way. I'm a
Okay.
contrarian, so I just say, screw this. I don't have to do this way or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of problematic. Can be problematic.
Right.
Just being a contrarian, just to be the opposite. Just it's in my nature to be like that. But it's
Yeah, I
not
can be kind of
necessarily helpful.
contrarian too myself, but sometimes that's good because it makes you ask questions and get to that point of discovery versus just blindly believing stuff. And sometimes your intuition comes into play too, as far as like belief and stuff, because your intuition's in tune to certain things, and maybe that's partly just having experience in something that helps your intuition understand it a little more. And because like I know, like when I first got into Mark's work, I didn't like believe. I wasn't just like, oh, I believe him, everything he said. It like what may be like believe a lot of what was being said was just I could relate to it, and I had stumbled upon the similar information in other places too, where it wasn't necessarily like that was the exact same presentation or whatever, but it was like little nuggets of information that he put together I was finding in other areas too, but not put together in the same way. So, I was already linking certain things together, and then it would come up in his presentation and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's just like this other thing that I was thinking about, or that reminds me of this other book that I read that talked about this subject in a different context. And those were the things, when I started making those connections is when I really started believing the information. I was like, okay, I'm making connections here from other third-party information that's correlating into this information. And that's where, that was part of my belief in, that natural law information and stuff. It wasn't just like, oh, I believe him because he gets mad a lot.
Well, he wasn't getting mad in the beginning, was he?
Yeah, no.
I don't think he was getting mad back
Well,
then.
I mean, it was
a-
like a different kind of,
he was
it was
like,
more like
I'm
an excitable kind of like, I can't believe people are such idiots that, they don't understand this information kind of thing, more than directly mad. I don't know, just emotional, it's strong emotion.
yeah, it is weird that his last name is Passio. Honestly, I find it fascinating.
I've witnessed him pretty pissed off.
Oh yeah, yes, he's pissed
Yeah.
off now, but
Yeah.
in the beginning he wasn't. Before Barb died, he was not like this.
Okay.
This has
See,
to
I
do
don't know
with
that
the
backstory.
death of
That was his partner.
wife. Yeah.
What'd she die of?
Well, they were like broke up before she died, right?
No, but they were still totally tight. They were best friends. He went over to her house and found her dead.
Yeah.
You have to cut this out too. Let's see now. 7:29.
All right. Well, send me a list of everything to have to cut out. But anyways, yeah, I don't know a ton about that,
I'm not sure what she died of
thing
exactly,
there,
but
but
she died.
I've definitely noticed
He's just gone
he's
completely
definitely not
downhill.
as well. He's been doing it for a long time too, and he, it's like
But he had this best friend
Basically,
that
like-
he could confide all
yeah.
of his problems in, and now he doesn't have that person anymore. So it's like,
Yeah, no,
you know, it sucks.
it's a
for him.
hard thing.
So he's been like this ever since that day, which was it's been like 3 years now,
Okay.
I
Mhm.
think.
No, I listened to most of his stuff, and then I just stopped. I just stopped.
Well, yeah, it's hard to listen to him now.
Yeah.
He's different.
Yeah, that's a hard truth.
I mean, there's like, I don't listen to that much anymore. I don't do much anymore of any of it anymore, except no, there really isn't much I listen to anymore.
That's
Well,
good.
sometimes, you know, you go
I've
through like
absorbed
the
everything.
content, gathering stage, you do that for a long time, you research stuff, but at a certain point you have to move past the just gathering, consuming of the content and move into creating content.
Right. I mean, the thing is, for me, I mean, I have one topic that I'm totally fascinated with, and I keep on researching that one topic to get clear, and that's human origins.
Right.
But I haven't found anything new. I mean, I saw Chris Jansen was talking about it with somebody on his podcast last week, and so I might check that out and see if they came up with anything new. I basically love that topic because I feel like it's got this seeds of the answer to our problem in it. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm fascinated with that topic. But
The human origins. Well, have to
and I pretty much
read basically all of Graham Hancock's work then, because that's what he deals with
Mhm.
mostly.
Oh yeah, I've there isn't anybody that I don't think so far I haven't found anything new that will add to it. But that's the only thing that really toots my horn anymore.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what the whole point of digesting Mark's work was so that I wouldn't have to be in the middle of this kind of bullshit that people are going through right now, absorbing any more crap. I mean, look at that in Australia. You saw the flooding. Okay. I have a few friends in Australia who, told me geoengineering, they saw this clouds being seeded before the flooding, right?
Right.
So, we know and I knew when I saw the flooding, I was like, oh yeah, that's them for sure. But I don't have to go in a big research frenzy to try to find out anything, because I just looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, that's for sure. That's them. I can tell, because that's such an unnatural amount of water to come out of the sky.
Mhm.
So I don't have to spend any more time on it. And that was the point. Because if I was one of those people who had to go through what we're going through right now and, verify everything, oh my God, I think I would go nuts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess I've switched over from discovery into belief now. I believe that there is a small cluster of psychopaths running the world. And I've spent enough time discovering that reality. So now I can
I'm
relax
with you.
into
I'm
belief.
kind of in the same place.
I can relax into belief now.
Mhm.
I probably won't believe if they use their Project Bluebeam to create a second coming of Christ or whatever.
Or whatever. Right.
Or an alien attack or something like
Yeah.
that. I probably won't believe that.
It's good. I won't believe that either.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So,
Right.
but I mean, that's, maybe people will, I'm sure. But I'm not, that was my whole point in doing all that back then. I was just like, I gotta get to the bottom of this right now. I remember Kurt saying to me, why are you doing all this work? What are you gonna do with this information? And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with it, but I am being driven to find out right now. And
Right.
now I'm
You had to
pretty
do
much
it.
done.
Well, you
had
have to
do
learn it and then you have to repeat it, and because there's more people need to learn it, so we can have a peaceful and free planet. And because it was interesting, like on I think it was in the some of that Stefan Verstappen stuff. He was talking about how people want to they got a bunch of money, they want to go buy a farm and start a freedom community. He's like, well, that never works because we can't live together. You can't live together, people, he says. But to me, that kind of is weird though, because it's like we are living together though. Whether we're in the same house or the same structure or not, we're all on this planet together. So no matter what, we're living together.
Wait a minute, I
Even
thought it was
though we
about creating
separate-
communities. What's his solution? If you can't live together, what then?
I don't know. He was basically like, you
Saying
can
forget it?
create, he was saying you could create communities, just don't all live in the same spot.
Oh, in the same building next to each other. I
Yeah.
totally agree. People need their
Yeah.
separation.
So you need to have some space. There needs to be, and I mean, I think it's kind of like a balance. There needs to be, community needs to come together and work together, but at the same time, there also needs to be some a balance of alone time. And because the problem too with community is if you have too much groupthink, then you have just you don't have freedom.
You have a cult.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not an
So,
individual.
because then it's not now all of a sudden you're just basing everything off of the rules within that cult or whatever you want to call it, community. And there's not room for individualism, which isn't good.
I may have told you this before, but there's a community called Libra, and it's
Called what?
Libra, Libre.
Really? Libra.
And it's been around since, I think, the late 60s.
Huh.
And is a pretty famous sculptor artist from New York City moved to, it's outside of Rye, which is.
Oh, it's in Colorado?
It's in, yeah, it's in
Really?
southern Colorado. It's not that far from here. It's probably max 30 miles.
Really?
Yeah. Dean Fleming is the famous artist, and he's the guy who started it. And a lot of the houses are made out, they're geodesic domes made out of plywood.
Really?
And they all have their own individual spaces. I don't know that they do communal meals. I really haven't even been there. I did some reach on it, and there's a couple of people in Pueblo that I know that used to live there. And I've never heard anybody say anything bad about it. There was nobody went apeshit and killed people. So.
Well, I mean, there
Oh,
are
yeah, well-
quite a few intentional communities in the United States,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
of which
Well, part of I think making these successful is just making sure everyone in the community is on board with the non-aggression principle.
Mhm.
And another good thing is the consent. What is that called? What you guys have been talking about using in your community? The consent. What is formal consent? Yeah,
consensus.
formal
Yeah.
consensus. Yeah.
To being able to have an egalitarian decision-making process where everyone
Yeah.
has a voice and everyone supports everyone in having a voice and doesn't get impatient.
Right.
Did he talk about that, Stefan?
he didn't really, not that then the information that I've seen of his, but I'm sure he has before. But
Yeah, I mean, people don't like it because it takes too much time, they think. But that's the point.
Right.
It's like, well, you're either going to take some time or you're going to end up with tyranny. Which would you like?
yeah,
And they just
Yeah.
don't want to
either
believe
take
it.
the
Like,
time and do it right, or end up with what you were trying to get away from.
it's crazy, but so far people aren't willing to take the time, and they just believe that they believe their ego that they are different and they are going to do it differently. It's happening with the food co-op. Like the food co-op is taking off. No one has agreed to any kind of egalitarian decision-making process. They're just going with it. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Go for it. I mean, there's nothing I can say to make them. They think now they act like I'm an asshole, like I'm a troublemaker because I want to help them to figure out a decision-making way to make decisions when the shit hits the fan. And they gave lip service to it. Like they were like, we really need to stress test, blah, blah, blah. Then they didn't.
Mhm.
I'm just like, oh, Americans. Huh. Haven't learned from history. Can see that.
Right.
Just think you're going to do it differently. Okay, whatever. Maybe you will. What do I know? Yep, I was on there and I was like the only person. I mean, I think they thought I was a real Debbie Downer because I wasn't all excited about everything they were excited about. I was like, wow, guys, we still don't have any way to make decisions. We haven't spent any time on that. And they're just like, oh, well, basically they're like, oh, the decisions have all been made for us. I'm just like, oh my God, you guys.
By who?
Oh, by the people who started it, like the narcissist and her husband. The two people these two people that did all the
Bosses.
work and then set out to find people to run the thing that they did, but they still don't have, at some point they have to step back, and create some kind of thing so that they're not the, benevolent dictators. But, that's not, I mean, nobody, they just somehow they think that they can get away with it. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys, you're under the spell. Holy shit. So I'm like, well, I can't.
So your last time we got together, you were talking about this psychopathic woman. Have you seen her again?
The psychopathic, no, she's gone.
She's gone.
For the moment.
Good.
For the
Good.
moment.
Okay.
She'll probably come back. She'll try to come back, but I don't know if I'm going to be involved anymore because, basically my back went out and I haven't been able to drive a whole hour to get up there.
Oh,
And I kind of have to take that as a sign that I should be doing some other stuff. And so I started doing stuff down here, going to Littleton. I really would prefer to be doing some stuff with my neighbors, my direct neighbors. That's what I would like. But so
Mhm.
far there's nobody right here in Thornton. I have the guy who did the colloidal silver class lives in Arvada. That's not that far. But yeah, no, so far there's no movement that I can see. But I mean, spring is here, so people are starting to get out and be
Mhm.
more active. And I might just start going to this farm that other people I know are going to and help out at the farm as best I can. And that will guarantee me some food,
Mhm.
if I can make a commitment to it.
So you would be a woofer?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, I would just be driving up there and,
Just volunteering.
volunteering. Woofers usually live there.
Yeah, we had some woofers on our farm.
You have a farm?
No, in Durango,
Oh,
when the economy went completely in the tank, I decided to be an organic farmer for a couple of years. And so my friend and I did it the first year, and he owned the property. He's a weird guy, but pretty generous. And so I convinced my friend that I went to the Art Institute with to move his Airstream out on the property. And so we were partners. And then We had a couple of woofers that lived on the property and helped us.
How was that?
It was a pretty good experience.
Didn't go south?
Pardon?
It didn't go south?
It didn't go south.
Oh, that's cool.
But towards the end of our season, my friend's name is John. So, and John and in my season, we had a really bad hailstorm.
Oh,
It took out 250 perfectly ready to pick pumpkins, but you can leave them on the ground until Halloween comes rolling around. And so that's what we were going to do. And then we lost 3 or 4 different varieties of peppers, and the hail just went right through them. We lost watermelons,
oh,
just a ton of stuff, and it was just really like a kick to the gut. And then he left the hoop house north roll up side up, and we lost all of the tomatoes that were in there. I mean, there was a lot of freaking tomatoes.
oh man,
And
that's
they're
so
all
sad.
heirloom. They're really, really good. And
Oh man.
that was really sad. So, and then I just said, okay, I'm fucking done. And I quit. Kinda. Yeah. And after that, I had 2 years of growing vegetables on my property in Durango, and did really well with that, and was just growing for our family. But we had contracts with the school district. We had, for like a ton of potatoes, squash, and some other things that they didn't contract for, but the other contractees fell through. They weren't able to supply, and it was 4 acres. It was really, really, really good soil. It was amazing.
Nice.
So it really overall was a good experience. I didn't think that I was going to make much money doing it anyway. And I didn't, but I did have 18 really good pot plants on the other side of the berm, and the hail didn't affect them at all. And so I salvaged my season with the pot.
Oh,
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
Whew.
And this was before it was legalized. So we were getting about 180 an ounce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
that was-
good.
Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
We're gonna have a garden, I think, at our property this year. And that makes
good.
me think that I'm going to try to figure out a way to protect it from hail, because we're not going to be out there. We're going to be doing it from afar. But Kurt is a green thumb, so I'm sure he'll figure all that stuff out.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe he won't. I don't know. I'm going to mention it to him though, because that's
Get- Get
that's
the
a-
hail app on your phone. It'll tell you when hail's coming. You have to go cover that stuff up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's called
It's horrible.
NOAA. Yeah, but how can you cover it? Well, it's not going to be that big. It's not going to be 4 acres. We're just going to have a regular garden out there. So, but
Yeah, I
I
probably
don't
need
know.
to start doing some starts for my raised beds across the street.
Right.
Do you know Elliot Coleman?
No, do I? The
He's
name
from
sounds
Maine.
familiar. but-
He's an organic farmer, and he decided to teach himself how to grow vegetables, and so did tons of research. He was right by the coast, so there was lots of seaweed and kelp and things that he would put on his soil to amend it. And he built the soil for a couple of years, and he got rid of the rocks. It was super rocky. Got rid of that. He found different mulches from where he lived, and just built the soil. He wrote, I think, 3 or 4 books, and they're all really, really good on how to grow things in the winter. He went over to France and researched everything that they grow in the winter there, because they do lots of cold frames. And it's the same latitude as Maine, like in the south of France. So he goes, well, it's the same sun. And so he took that to heart and started growing lots of stuff inside and also in cold frames. So he talks about how to do it, how to make them, different tools that he invented to help make it not be so backbreaking. And anyway, I learned a ton from him. Really
That
good.
might be good to know for like higher altitude growing too, just for, here in Colorado, some of those techniques might help with the higher altitude growing too.
Mhm.
We have a Mustang Rescue down the street, so we'll be
Oh.
getting manure.
There you go. Yeah, we got lots of horse manure from a friend of mine who raises Danish warm bloods. And
What is that?
they're I think they were engineered to be draft horses,
Oh,
but then they kind of bred that out of them, and then they do dressage with them.
oh,
So
wow.
they're show horses, and they have apparently a really good temperament, but they're big ass horses. One
Big
of them
ass.
stepped on her foot, broke her foot, and she was out for about a year.
Oh my God. Well, I can understand that because yep. I have to stand up right now.
Well, I'm going to probably go eat dinner.
Yep, we're about at time now, huh?
Yeah, time's about up anyway.
7:52.
Yep.
So it's up at 8?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll hang till 8.
Yep. So I got this. I haven't decided what I'm gonna put on the TV yet, but the TV's there now at least.
Yeah, you
I
could just put
changed
the
the
sound bars
words.
on there. You could just put the bars. You know the
do you
sound
mean?
bars,
Sound bars.
the blocks of sound bars that you get when
Oh, like
there's nothing on there.
like the weird like orange and blue and stuff.
Yeah, in blocks when there's nothing there. That would be even more. Or you could
I
just
was
make it a news show because
yeah,
that
I was thinking
person's
just
watching.
make like a little make it look
Talking
like
head.
a talking head news guy or something. So but yeah, no. So
What
that's
is that? Is that
another piece
canvas or
started.
is that another piece of wood?
It's just like a canvas, like a little canvas board thing.
Oh,
It's like a little. It's pretty small. I don't know.
oh,
8
it's
by 10
small,
or
huh?
something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's small. I'd say like
Yeah,
8 by 10.
what is that? Your TV.
Oh, the TV.
Yeah.
Just.
What do you mean? What is it?
Well, because I just
Drawing.
looked at it and it wasn't there, and I looked away and I looked back and there it was. Did
Right,
you-
and
Probably-
it's a
it was
new, it's a
paint.
flat screen. It's not like an old TV, which is what I would make. I would make an old TV like
CRT, yeah.
with antenna sticking out of it, but that's not
Right.
TV anymore.
Right.
No.
I thought
that's-
about that, but I was like, kid, like a little kid might not know what that is.
Right. God. God, it's so crazy.
Back in the dark
I can
ages.
see how my
Yeah, no, I just it's
parents
just black
felt.
dark brown paint. So I just need to put something in the TV.
You do. Yeah.
I haven't decided what that is yet.
It could be a talking head.
That's probably what I'll do. Is just like a talking head news guy. Like
Your favorite one.
Well, you gotta put a girl and a guy. in there.
Rachel Maddow talking to Russians. It's the Russians. It's the Russians.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be on. It'll probably just be kind of indescript, like you won't be able to tell who it is or what it is.
Oh, you'll make it like blurry.
Yeah, or just like even the figures that are in there right now are pretty
Yeah.
undescript. They're just kind of there. That's doesn't really matter if they're really descriptive.
It doesn't require much. You're there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, this is fun. A little bit more work to do on this piece, but I don't have like a set number that I'm going for by July. I'll just kind of see how many I have by then, and
Keep
That's just
cranking 'em.
me.
Yeah. You
That's
guys
just
are on the inside, so you can do whatever you want.
yeah. So
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know why I have that set thing. I just decided to do that and gave me a goal.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have that kind of goal there. So I have a goal that I'm just trying to do one a week. And so if I can accomplish that,
That's
that
huge.
that's a
Yeah.
lot of pieces, And then if I end up just doing one every 2 weeks, then that's still would be great,
Mhm.
Right, exactly. Yep. I mean, I think I might be able to knock this out this week. So I'll start something else next week, but I don't know. I mean,
Did you lick your warping problem?
probably not. I don't care. I'll figure it out later. I'm
It's-
leaving June for that. June is for that.
For getting rid of the warp?
Yeah, I'm gonna figure out
It's a
all the
warp-free
problems in
month?
June. It's the month that I'm gonna use to put everything together to be hung. So I'm just not gonna worry about that until then. I'm just gonna try to knock out as many pieces as I can before then, and then I've got the month of June to put a layer of polyurethane on everything and put all the wires and hanging equipment on it, one way or the other. It may be warped. Being warped may be part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it takes anything away from it.
I mean, if I'm looking at one right now that's warped, I can't tell.
Right.
Yeah, it probably will warp because it's got a warp in it already because there's so much on top and nothing on the back.
Yeah.
So it's just
Okay.
part for the course.
It doesn't
I
look
don't care.
warped, though. It
Like I
looks
said, I don't care.
like
Like
it
I'm
should
just
look.
not, I refuse to care about this kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that have you seen the artwork? Artwork now looks like a machine made it. And it just
Yeah.
annoys me. I'm like, mine is not going to look like that. It's going to look like
Yeah,
a little
like-
kid made it.
I know what you mean. Everything is just like so perfect looking.
It's so
and
perfect
stuff.
looking. I don't even know how a lot of it's made, honestly. I see stuff and I'm like, how the hell did they do that?
Well, that's the best part about it. It
Yeah,
makes you think about how they did it, but not really what it is for the
Yeah.
most part. Because a lot of modern art is pretty darn vacuous, there's not making any statement at all about anything.
yeah.
Oh yeah, modern art is Satanism. Full on. Full on. A lot of it. I mean, when I think
So
back
what
to
was the CIA, what was that called? So they took Jackson Pollock and Motherwell and some of these other modernist painters, and they created a show, and then they showed it all over Europe. And it was basically to get people thinking differently about art and craft, and make it, it's pretty easy to do. PSYOP, basically,
I don't know anything about this. I'm
it
listening.
has a name. You know what? I'll do a little research and I'll bring it to our next one.
I really want to hear
Sounds
this.
great.
This
Yeah.
is amazing. I've never heard about this before, but I did hear about this topic though, about them trying to change people's view, which it brought it rather than art having meaning, I think.
Well,
Why my stupid teacher at SVA was able to use her child's poop in different colors after he ate squash or beets as a show in Washington Square Park. Because, you know, art for art's sake and all that bullshit.
Right.
all right, so here's something. Hidden Hands CIA Modern Art. It's a YouTube thing that was created in 2019. It's 55 minutes. And then there's three.
What did you look up? What did you
I
use? as
just
your search?
put in CIA Modern Art, and then this Hidden Hands CIA Modern Art came up.
Oh, maybe Hidden Hands is the name of it.
Yeah, it is. And there's 4 episodes as far as I can tell.
Wow.
And then there's another one people also ask, was modern art a weapon of the CIA? Or why did the CIA promote abstract expressionism? So I'm going to bite on that one and see what it says. CIA had to ensure its patronage of American lefty avant-garde couldn't be discovered if it was to pursue its interests underground. It also gave the CIA the opportunity to promote its covert interest in abstract expressionism through the Congress for Cultural Freedom. Yep, that's what it was. Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Uh-oh. Sounds like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. And then here's another one. Was modern art a CIA psyop? Though it appeared to be an association of artists, musicians, and writers, it was in fact a CIA-funded project to propagate the virtues of Western democratic culture. The CCF operated for 17 years and at its peak had offices in 35 countries, employed dozens of personnel, published over ...
Oh my God. That's so horrifying. But this is exactly what I kind of knew.
Well, yeah, they don't leave any stone.
Looks like it's interesting that they were like focusing on like the left politics and promoting them with that.
Well, because
movement too.
democracy is a lie. You know, democracy is something that doesn't work. It works for like one generation and then it stops working and
Yeah.
becomes a tyranny. So that's what they were trying to promote. They're laying the foundation for what we have now, probably. And trying to, I think, get rid of artists.
So the artists were just basically dupes as part of this. They
I'm
weren't
sure.
instructed to do anything different with their art. They just took their art because they thought it would be like, you know, appropriate to really confuse people.
Fucking assholes.
Yeah, well, when I went to the Art Institute, I was fucking lost for a while. I mean, I really, really was lost. I kind of went down that modern route for a bit, and I go, this really isn't me. But I do like some abstract work. I mean, it works for me, but not all of it.
And so, well, even, and just not only, or just modern art in general isn't all abstract, you know, I mean, you look at like, you know, what like Andy Warhol's like considered modern art, right? You know, I guess his more is like pop art.
He's a
but,
total.
He's a pop guy.
I can't stand that guy.
yeah, it's more
Oh
of
my
like
God.
a pop art, but still like that, you know, pop art's almost like the same thing. It's like,
Yeah, no, it's making.
He worked in advertising. That's what he did. So
yeah.
So here's another one. So when the US government established the CIA in 1947, it included a division known as the Propaganda Assets Inventory, a branch of psychological warfare
Jesus
intended
Christ.
to boost pro-American messaging during the Cold War. In the following excerpt from the new book, Art Curious, Stories of the Unexpected, Slightly Odd and Strangely Wonderful in Art History, author Jennifer Dassal explores how the intelligence agency curated exhibitions of abstract art to wage its ideological war. The secrecy with which the CIA pursued abstract expressionism was not only integral to successfully fooling the Soviet Union, but also keeping any associated artists in the dark. A former CIA operative, Donald Jameson's words. Most of the abstract expressionists were people who had very little respect for the government in particular, and certainly none for the CIA. Multiple artists self-identified as anarchists, particularly Barnett Newman, who was so taken by anarchism, he would later write the foreword to the 1968 reprint of Russian author Peter Kropotkin's 1899 Memoirs of a Revolutionist, describing the anarcho-communist influence upon his life and work. In other words, tell Clifford Still or Helen Frankenthaler that you want to use their paintings to forward a government agenda, and the answer would most likely have been a firm no. So, yeah, they just fucking did it. Anyway, so this goes on. It's a pretty nice article.
Wow,
Wow. Yeah,
that's fascinating. See, I would definitely
that was
research
very
that.
fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I just was so shocked to hear that both Chris and Leo are both artists. I was like, oh my God, how come you guys aren't doing your
Oh.
work?
A lot of people are artists. They just
Then
don't
I'm like,
really
Richard,
verbalize it.
for God's sake. I invited Richard, by the way,
You
Jeff.
invited him again?
I invited him this time. I said, I'm gonna let you know about this every week from now on.
Okay.
Nice.
Maybe you'll come in. I told him, I said, take that easel out of the closet, get those crusty brushes, grab a canvas.
Dust them off, man. Get some light on it.
Yeah,
And he goes, thank you. That's what he said.
nice.
That was funny.
Yeah, I ripped him a little bit. So
Yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, because to me, it's like if you quit, I don't know. Don't quit doing your art, even if you just sketch
for sure. Got it.
for a while in a sketchbook.
So here's some more interesting. So the CIA's answer to these problems was something known as the long leash policy. This solution kept CIA operatives at a remove of 2 or 3 degrees from the artists in art exhibitions, sometimes even more, so that they could not be linked to any furtive government bankrolling. In order to fulfill this need, they elicited the participation of arts foundations, artist groups, and most crucially, art museums, requesting their assistance in organizing special exhibitions, events, and collections. Such activity was funneled through a new arts agency created by the CIA named the Congress for Cultural Freedom, CCF, which was developed in 1950 and not revealed as a CIA project until 1966. It would always appear then that a Museum of Arts Corporation was presented and promoting abstract expressionism, never the government, no way. And no one was the wiser, not even the artists themselves, especially not the artists themselves. So David Rockefeller's wife, they were huge supporters of MoMA.
Oh, gross.
They gave them millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Well, there they go. There you go.
And so they, it does say it. Okay, here we go. The museum most closely involved with CCF's plans for cultural domination was the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York City, focused through the participation of Nelson Rockefeller, a politician, philanthropist, and future vice president of the United States under Gerald Ford. Rockefeller and MoMA go hand in hand, as his mother was one of the co-founders of the institution. Okay, so it was Rockefeller's mother.
Gross.
Not David's wife, which he called Mommy's Museum, ARG. He was not unfamiliar with the intelligence world either, as the former coordinator of Inter-American Affairs for Latin America during World War II, yet another propagandist front agency. For the CCF then, Rockefeller's cooperation was ideal. He used his privileged position as the president of MoMA's board of trustees to arrange for some of the CCF's biggest and most successful ABEX exhibitions, including the landmark 1958-59 showcase, The New American Painting. The exhibition was, according to its March 11, 1958 press release, organized in response to numerous requests to the museum's international program, leading one to assume that other countries were clamoring for these advanced tendencies in American painting, rather than being coordinated through MoMA's personnel on the order of the CIA. Under the auspices of the MoMA brand, the New American Painting traveled for 1 year straight, visiting practically every major Western European city, including Basel, Milan, Berlin, Brussels, Paris, and London. Widespread touring of the show in American-friendly countries, unlike the on the communist fenced locations chosen for the State Department-funded exhibition, advancing American art was strategic, a way to cement alliances among like-minded Cold Warriors and to promote the much lauded cultural preeminence of the United States for the first time in history. That's pretty
Money laundering.
money. Well, that's what they for sure do now.
Wow. So it's called Advancement of American Art. That's the
Yeah,
show?
and it's the CCF. So the CCF stands for I got to go way back up here. Okay. Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
cultural
use
freedom.
in the world.
You can be culturally free, but you can't be free.
Can't be free.
I was kind of thinking of that, like how they use stuff like that, words, like
Words.
the Center for Disease Control. That's an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
Like control what are they controlling diseases, or are they controlling what diseases are?
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're
like,
controlling the diseases.
are is it control as in they're trying to mitigate the diseases, or is it control as in they're the ones deciding what the diseases are?
I think I'm going to print this out and put it in the show. It's a pretty well written
should.
article.
That's a pretty cool article. I'm glad you found that, because I suspected stuff like that a lot. And it's even like that Bob Ross dude, his like, so
Yeah.
like he's even like that whole thing is even tied into that, probably the same thing that we've just been looking at.
Well, he was handled. I don't think he was a nefarious guy. He was just.
Oh no, you saw
Yeah,
that Netflix, right?
Yeah, he was ripped off
Right.
big time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, it was pretty sad actually what happened. But yeah, no, I mean,
Wow.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. I had no real idea. I mean, I did, when I was at VA, art critic that worked at SVA, Donald Cuspit, and he brought up that all anything spiritual had been removed from art in the 80s. And I totally agreed with that, because I went to school in the 80s and it was hell. I was in hell. Like what you were talking about I was so
Yep.
lost. In fact, that's why I went into the illustration department, because it was easier to just do what I wanted to do and be an illustrator than to be in the fine arts department, because the people in the fine arts department were doing stuff I just could not
Mhm.
relate. And I didn't have an inner drive to change the world with my art using, blood or whatever they're using, or, extreme shit. Like, there was people like Carol Lee Schneeman. I don't know if you remember these people, these women from the late 70s who did crazy on stage. They would pull like a screw out of their vagina, stuff like that. That's, to
I'm
me,
familiar
that's
with
not art.
performance art
That's
like
like
that, yeah.
total.
But I'm not familiar with her.
It's shock stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would say, oh, it's because I'm molested by my dad or blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, this is horrific. I could never do
Yeah.
this in a million years, you know? I
Right.
couldn't relate to that stuff, doing stuff like that as art. But then it eventually led to that horrible Italian artist starving that dog. Do you remember that, Jeff?
The starving dog.
This guy, this Italian artist got a dog off the street and chained him up and then didn't feed him and let him die. And that was his performance, that people let this dog die. It was horrifying. I could not
Wow,
believe
That's evil.
it was really
That's-
total
really
evil.
fucking
And then that moves into what's her name?
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I knew
Abramovic.
about her. She was out and doing shit when I was in school, you know. She's, you know, back then her work was certainly different, and it didn't seem to be as dark. You know, she wasn't part of the new world order like she is now. But so here's a little bit more on this. I've been reading this. So the Tate London showing of the New American painting provides us with an intriguing case study in how the CCF operated its long leash policy. After the exhibition opened at Paris's Musée National d'Art Moderne in January 1959, a delegation from the Tate attended the show and was thrilled by its contents. Upon requesting an extension of the tour's run to accommodate a London stop, the Tate cohort learned that the steep fees associated with the show were simply too pricey to accommodate, and disappointingly accepted their artless fate. But behold, what happened next. An art-loving American millionaire named Julius Junkie Fleischman appeared almost as if by magic and ponied up the funds. The show happily then continued on to London. A fairy godfather materializes and bankrolls a major exhibition in a foreign country simply for the love of art. How magnanimous. By now, we know the real story. The money provided traveled the show to the UK wasn't actually Fleischman's, but cash funneled through him from an organization called Fairfield Foundation. Love those foundations.
That's a
Yet
pimp, Mike.
another secret arm of the CCF disguised. The Tate didn't know. The exhibition's visitors didn't know. And the artists exhibited certainly didn't know either. Such feints were rather easy to pull off too, as Tom Braden later recounted. We would go to somebody in New York who was a well-known rich person, and we would say, we want to set up a foundation. We would tell him what we were actually trying to do and pledge him to secrecy. And he would say, of course, I'll do it. And then he would publish a letterhead and his name would be on it. And there would be a foundation. It was really a pretty simple device. By the way, it should be noted that Julius Fleischman, like Nelson Rockefeller, had a direct connection to MoMA. He was a member of its governing board. Many MoMA supporters seem to have been involved in similar ways. The CAA MoMA link was never official, exactly, and many have disputed the partnership over the years. But as writer Louis Menard noted in a 2005 article for the New Yorker, no formal deal between the agency and the museum needed to be made because all figures were essentially on the same page, fighting communism, varnishing the country's image, and celebrating art, ? For the cultural elite at MoMA and others in boardrooms and lounges all over New York City. It was a no-brainer. There you go.
Wow. That's something else, man.
Yep. Again, you know, kind of just is occulted history that most people don't know.
Oh, yeah, but it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense to me because I always felt like that art just was telling me, fuck you. I dare you to try and figure me out. I dare you to try and get something from me that's supportive and loving. I really did. I was like, I went to school right at the wrong time, 81. And it was just really negative out there. And then the Denver Art Museum, I remember going to the Denver Art Museum and seeing this show, and it was just horrible. It was just horrible. You know, I just didn't get it. I was like, what is this stuff? I just don't get this at all. And I thought to myself, I want to figure out a way to do art that is for people. Art for people that they can relate to, that has nothing to do with matching their rug to their couch or anything.
Right.
I
That
love
just speaks to it. That just speak the way, you know, the way Van Gogh was once the artist of the common common man, now his work is selling for 4 million, billion, trillion, zillion dollars. Well, that's the money laundering aspect of it too.
Yeah, well, so, seems like most things get co-opted and turn evil, ugly, part of something to mind control us. Not always, there's so many, there's a lot more artists than there are collectors, right? So there's.
Well, the thing is, what my friend pointed out to me the other day was that that's just life. Like life on this planet is that there's seasons and things go through their season. So, but it's too bad that they have co-opted the entropy season. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Maybe it's our lack of ritual and our lack of knowledge of those seasons that allows them to co-opt that cycle for themselves,
Some of it is the cycle itself is just we're in a conflict cycle right now. And this comes from like the Sanskrit, like Benta, what do they call it? The Kali Yugas
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
or something like that. So, and like each one is like a billion years long or something. And so, and according to that, we're like in like I think it is called the Kali Yuga, and it's that specific yuga is like a conflict-based yuga, which is basically like a billion years worth of conflict. And then like
Did it just
and then there's
start?
like
We have a whole billion years left.
I don't know. We're like somewhere in the middle of it. And
I mean, it's
and
so
then
funny
there's like,
because
and then according to these Sanskrit, it's like then it's like a billion years of darkness, and then it moves on to the next billion years of something else,
Fucking
which could
great.
be utopian, like gardening humans of the planet. I don't know. But there's all these different yugas, and I don't know enough about the subject to really fully articulate it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
but just
'Cause
the
I know
idea
this
that we're
came
in
up like there's this guy out there for a while, and he was promoting that there was going to be this like solar flash, and after the solar flash, like all the evil people were going to be gone. And then someone's like else came on and was arguing that like, hey, that's not even real, because if you believe in this Sanskrit stuff, then there's no solar flash that changes everything. It's just it is what it is for a billion years, and then and then it changes and is what it is for another billion years. It's interesting.
Well, that's really heartening. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean,
I
I
don't
like
like it
what I
either,
like better is
but
that
these
it's a
are those
season.
Sanskrit stuff. So who knows?
Yeah, but who knows if
The
that's
seasons could be co-opted is more like what you're talking about.
yeah, the seasons. Like, but just how we've been removed from, unless you live in the country, you've been removed from the seasons, So
Right.
you don't recognize that this is that season, this is autumn or winter or whatever in the,
Right.
so I'm sure that we could take ownership of the seasons again and then, kick them out, but they have co-opted this season as they have co-opted worship of Saturn as the limiter. So they use the Saturn energy as the justification for being the limiter.
Right.
Totally, it's insanity.
Oh, so Maxwell died.
Who? Oh yeah,
Um,
Maxwell, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Maxwell.
Yeah, he was the first guy who exposed me to Saturn. Way back then.
Yeah, Jordan Maxwell. Well, good for him. I'm like, good. You get to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. He was one of the initial conspiracy
was.
theorists.
But I think it's more like, I don't think it's more the seasons necessarily. I think has to do with human behavior and how we behave, as far as how our reality reacts to our behavior determines our freedom or whether how free we are or not, you know. I don't think it's determinant by, oh, we're in a season of conflict now versus being in a season of, that's determined, whether we're in the season of conflict or a season of unity is determined by human behavior as a collective.
Well, they have us. I mean, if you live in a city, you don't have to, but people are, I noticed in Denver, I mean, it's just, it's just tight. There's a lot of people and there's not a lot of things being grown.
Right,
People
right.
Are divided from the land.
Yeah,
Stack them,
wow.
stack them and pack them.
Oh, well, exactly. That's the point. And it makes people believe that there's overpopulation. So people will
Right.
think it's good that other people will have to die, you know, because we're overpopulated.
Yeah, well, people will believe
Which
anything.
To me, like, if humanity's goal is to like get off of the planet eventually and explore the cosmos, I don't see how population would even be a problem. Because if you start going off planet, then, you know, there's
Well,
a lot of
I heard
space
that
out in space, you know.
I
and
thought they
like,
wanted to send us away and then have the planet for themselves.
well, that could be an
They're
agenda.
not going to send us away. They're just going to kill us. They're not gonna,
Right. Yeah.
That's too much work to send us away. Just kill
Yeah.
us. Use us for fertilizer.
Soylent Green is people. All right, kids, listen, I gotta jump.
Yeah, okay, me too.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll talk to you next week.
All
Bye.
right. Goodbye.
We'll be doing some more lively discussion next week. So
All right.
join us here for Drawing Nature In.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.